What is up? What's going on, everybody? We are live. And I've got some snacks. Got some salt. I've got some coffee. And I've got some creatine. All right, so right now I'm taking my usual morning concoction. Gonna let you guys know what I take. A little bit of test, a little bit of Anavar. Nah, I'm kidding, dude. A little bit of test, a little bit of Anavar. Nah, I'm joking. I'm all natural, guys, but taking some coffee and creatine. That's the mix. Creatine and caffeine, guys. It is shown to increase fight IQ. So we're on that creatine and caffeine. What is the thumbnail? I don't know. I just saw this. I saw this on Instagram, bro. Shamil Blobgaziev. It says, no gas tank, tap to cardio. 17 consecutive wins away from having the longest win streak on the other side. Morbidly obese. Dude, he's literally one loss removed from being undefeated. Pretty impressive. How many milligrams of Tren? I take 300 mgs of Tren. I'm joking. I don't take any of that shit. I would never take any of that shit. All right. So, yeah, I'm taking some of this creatine, guys. Some of this coffee. So, yeah. I don't know if drinking milk with the creatine and the coffee is gonna kind of alleviate alleviate the effect. I don't know if that ruins it, the desired effect. Would you muzz at 100K? You know what? I don't want to muzz at 100K because I want to save muzzing for, a real special moment, and that's if Volkanovski gets another good win. If my favorite fighter gets a good win, then I'll definitely do it. I'm only here because I like MMA. Well, thank you for the 1 month membership, NIF. I appreciate that. If you're a member, guys, the animals video is out. We did another animals video. What flukes will Gamrot pull against Hooker? Are they fighting? Are Gamrot and Hooker fighting? Because if they are, I don't think that Gamrot really needs to even fluke a victory against Dan Hooker. Dan Hooker's defense, takedown defense, isn't even that terrible, but I think Gamrot just wins with no flukes. Thank you for the $2. Thank you for the 249 passion fruit. Volkov is going to smoke on that Ciryl pack. I hope so, man. I really hope so. Gane's been inactive. Gane's been filming movies. He's on his Ronda Rousey non-serious arc, right? But at the same time, he is a lot more athletic than Volkov, and he's not plotty like Sergey Pavlovich, and he's already beaten Gane. He's already beaten Volkov. So I'm probably gonna pick Gane, but I want Volkov to win, and I know Volkov has improved since that fight. I just think Gane's gonna be a lot faster, and he's gonna be able to keep up with the output, and he has the shot selection and the fight IQ. So I think that Gane is gonna be able to win. It's not like Volkov's shooting any takedowns, and it's not like Volkov has any crazy power anyway. I know that I talked about the lack of power going into his last fight. It didn't really matter, but Gane, unlike Sergey Pavlovich, can mix it up. He's not just a headhunter. After the Anavar and Test 250, 8 weeks, I gained... Wow, you actually did that cycle. Okay, I'm interested in hearing this. I gained 32 pounds. I put up 295 6 times yesterday. I started a plumbing apprenticeship Monday, so I quit my 2 jobs. Well, good luck on the plumbing apprenticeship. That honestly, you can make a lot of money in plumbing. And also, testosterone and Anavar. Okay, so you took it with test. Are you still on it? Are you still taking... I know that if you cycle with test, you got to hop off. And you have to take... post-cycle therapy to kind of restore your hormones, bring them back to normal. But I think that with Anavar, what I've heard is that you can actually just continue to run it if you're running it at a low dose. So are you still on it? Let me know if you're still on the Anavar. But I've heard that Anavar gets people like really good strength gains. The only reason why I wouldn't take it right now is because I don't want to lose my hair. And that's a side effect. It's a beginner cycle. The Anavar's done. I still got a vial and a half of test left. Okay, yeah. So It's a beginner cycle. Okay. So you're not planning on just running Anavar for like a year or two. You're already on it, bro? I'm not on any steroids. I promise you I'm not on any steroids. I wouldn't be bullshitting. I've thought about it. I almost bought steroids back in the day, and I'm not totally closed-minded to taking stuff, but just my fear is losing my hair. I don't want to lose my hair faster than it's already going, you know? Can you get big and strong just from MMA training? If you're like a freak athlete, if you have crazy genetics, yes, but I'm talking like insane genetics. Like if you're someone that just can put on tons of muscle just from pull-ups and push-ups and you know kettlebell exercises like Joe Rogan in your strength and conditioning program, then yeah. But most people can't get big from doing that. Unless you're just, I don't know, some people are just naturally dense. Like, I've always just kind of been naturally dense. I've always just been a naturally big guy. So if you're walking around like 220, then yeah. But if you're someone that's around 150 bucks, you're a $150, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be really difficult. You see how Gyno Sanya lost his dog and balls after Costa fight? Like when Jones came off the juice. Last time Dog Bender was aggro was when he had JoJo stand nipples. This was a very confusing message, but yeah. He lost his dog and balls after the Costa fight. So you're trying to say that his performances declined because of that? Like Jones, when he got off the juice. Yeah. So the last time he was aggressive. I'm honestly confused by what you mean, Simone. Thank you for the $5. This is a confusing mess. I understood it clear as day. It's just worded weird. It's just a weird way of wording it. Yeah, so I mean, I think he's on the sauce. Let's fucking hell, dude. Got to clear my throat. Anyway, Adesanya's back on that good stuff, okay? He's taking it because Adesanya's got the gyno again, from what I'm seeing. He might be loading up on some Anavar and that good old CKB EPO. That good old CKB EPO. Yo, why you always so early when I'm going into work? Keep the animal videos coming. That shit has me dying. This is how legends are made. Yuri Prohaska. You guys, okay, let me ask you a question. Do you guys think that Yuri told the UFC just to toggle a random selection on one of the songs for his walkout? Or do you think that Yuri Prohaska is so out of touch with society that he's such a pure soul, he doesn't listen to any degenerate music, that legitimately sounds like an epic track to him? That's like a song that would sound epic to someone that has not listened to any other modern music. Like if you showed that song to someone a couple hundred years ago, he's out of touch. You think he chose it? I think because it's about how legends are made, and you could honestly see Yuri Prohaska relating to the lyrics. I think he chose it. Yeah, I think he chose it. It's just like the biggest characters in the UFC, the most unique characters in the UFC are going to have the most NPC taste in music. Maybe not all of them, but Yuri Prohaska definitely. What's up, Logic? Who are you picking for Corey versus Umar and via what? Yeah, that fight's getting really close. I can't wait that we're almost in the clear of this shitty month where we have two horrible events back to back. I mean, like, listen, again, my critique with the Colorado card is the main event is not worthy of selling tickets. I mean, they just need a good main event to sell tickets, and I think that, what fan is going to buy tickets to go to that? But yeah, I'm going to start doing my breakdowns for these fights soon. A lot of the UK breakdowns, we're going to do those. I had an idea yesterday of instead of doing just an individual prediction video for one fight, I can do like 1 hour live stream Dan Hardy Dark Room breakdowns for every single fight on the main card for the UK card. Because the UK card is the Dan Hardy card, you know? But yeah, I'm going to be breaking down and doing my prediction on Sandhagen versus Umar soon. I want to pick Sandhagen. I've been flip-flopping back and forth, but I think I might go with Sandhagen. I think Umar is going to be a lot stronger. I think he's going to be able to ragdoll Sandhagen in the grappling early, but I just think that Sandhagen's fight IQ and, I think he's going to go in there with a little bit of that Volkanovski, Islam Makhachev 1 type of hustle that Volk had and the specifics training that Volk had going up against Makhachev the first time. And I think he could do better on the feet, unlike Makhachev, who outstruck Volkanovski in that fight. I don't think that Umar is going to outstrike Corey. Pop Jojo in anime had a stand that poked out like a nipple. Okay. I give you the $2. I'm not familiar with that anime. I don't watch anime. Thoughts on the new Eminem album? Oh man. He's just the GOAT, man. He's just the GOAT, bro. Yeah, you got to put him in your top 5. When he dropped that Rap God song, I just said, the game's over. You may as well give this guy the keys to the city. When he dropped that Rap God song and he was rapping at 100 miles per hour, I just said, dude, who's doing this, bro? So I think the Eminem album is just another sign that Eminem is just on a different type of level. You got him, you got Logic, you got Yellow Wolf, you got the big three. You got the big three. And you got Ice, whatever the fuck that guy's name is, Vanilla Ice. Thank you for the $2. I appreciate the $2. Drop a fruit tier list. We could do that. That's like a members style of video. I'm going to do a fruit tier list for the members. I was born 10 pounds, 2 ounces, so I was underweight. A lot of the weight came from me eating 6 times a day instead of once or twice like it was before. Yeah, I remember back in the day I was on that. I used to eat 6 meals a day at one point as well, which was rough. It sucked eating 6 meals a day, but yeah, if you're underweight and you want to gain weight, like if you're a hard gainer and you're like super skinny, skin and bones, and you're asking people how to gain weight, you have to do something like that. You got to do something like that. Or you just have to load up on fats. So maybe eat your 3 meals, but drizzle some extra virgin olive oil on one of your meals. Or if you're making rice and steak, put like a big glob of butter in the rice. Like just add things to your meals that are calorically dense. After your meal, when you're full, eat fruit. Eat foods that are going to go down easily. Like a lot of fruit. You know what I mean? Snack on something. That's soy, man. Soy to do that, bro. Just eat hot dogs and brewskis and pizza, man. Yo, Big Dog, do you listen to house music? I do. I do listen to house music. Right now, not so much, but, it always depends on what I'm listening to. What have I been listening to recently? To be honest, I've been running out of music. I'm in one of those phases where I'm kind of tired of my own music. I've just been running out of stuff to listen to. But yeah, I like house music. Yeah, McGregor music. Yeah, Win McGregor music. I like house music. I've been listening to a lot of Odd Future, man. I've been listening to a lot of Tyler, the Creator, bro. I've been listening to a lot of the Tyler, the Creator, Bumblebee album. No, I'm kidding. Lucas loves NF. I mean, Chandler's song is actually good. That's the only NF song that I know. You're soy because you got food. You need to eat raw meat and drink animal blood. Water is bad. This is a Goatus take. Thank you for the $5, Joey NTL. Animal blood is extremely high in iron, like incredibly high in iron. And if you're a guy, then you shouldn't be drinking animal blood regularly, unless you're eating shitloads of dairy and shitloads of cheese, because that has a lot of calcium to help you break down the iron. I wouldn't drink a lot of animal blood. Maybe it's like a delicacy. Animal blood's like a delicacy. I mean, I don't know what they would do in nature. I know that like people in tribes like the Hadza, they'll drink animal blood, but I don't know how often they're drinking it. I'd be surprised if they're drinking it often. But you are right. You are right. Oh, it's forbidden. Yeah, I guess that's also something. It could be haram, but I don't know. I don't really have any desire, but what I would want to do is eat more raw meat. So what I have been doing is I've just been cooking my meat less, like super rare is the goal. Because a lot of people don't know this, but if you have, I mean, I don't think anyone really likes to have well done steak or well done ground beef. You know how when you cook ground beef and it's well done, you leave it on too long and it's got like this brown gray look? It just looks fucking gross. That's because it doesn't have the same nutritional benefits at all. You can't get the same amount of protein that you're looking to get if you cook your meat all the way through. You have to have like some raw meat with every single time that you eat meat. Like, you know, sear the steak, but make sure that the inside is, for the most part, raw. That's how you get the majority of the benefits. So, yeah, I'm not going to start eating just raw meat, but I am not cooking my ground beef as much as I used to. Like, I'll make sure that there's still some, like, red in there. Bro's eating his ground beef medium rare. No, I like rare. You got to have rare meat. Rare meat, that's the healthiest way. Otherwise, you're like destroying all the nutritional benefits. You're getting rid of half the protein. But yeah, I'm on like a completely natural diet. I don't think I'm looking any different, but I feel different. Just 4 days into my new diet, I feel completely different. Like no bloating whatsoever. And the thing that I changed, because I've always been okay with eating like sourdough bread and potatoes and rice. I've taken all that stuff out. So no bread, no rice, no potatoes, just fruit, dairy, eggs, and meat, and that's it. And there's no bloating whatsoever. I feel a massive difference already. Are gym bros allowed to smoke weed? I mean, you're allowed to. You're allowed to, but I never recommend smoking weed. I don't think weed is good for you, bro. It's not good for you mentally. It's not good for you spiritually, and it's not good for you physically. Is Prime Conor overrated? No, I don't think. Honestly, you know, listen, I think Volkanovski beats Prime Conor. I don't even. I'm like Dana White. I felt like Dana White saying that. You know how Dana brings up Jones out of nowhere. But the reason why I brought that up is because people will say Conor beats this guy, Conor beats that guy. I still think Conor's like a problem for the best strikers and the best fighters in today's day and age. Just because I think a couple people beat him, I actually think that Prime Conor in people's minds isn't that overrated. I mean, I think that he wasn't that amazing defensively, but I think Prime Conor McGregor is an amazing fighter. I don't think he's that overrated, to be honest. You know what we'll do? We'll look at the featherweight rankings and we'll do Prime Conor versus featherweights and Prime Conor versus lightweights, and I'll kind of think about it like that. We'll do that in a minute. Hey, welcome to the Lucas Tracy MMA Club. Styles Wilbur, welcome. Thank you for the $1, Ethan. New member here, great content, Lucas. Thank you. Thank you for the $2, Lane. I appreciate that. JoJo anime is like watching Romero versus Costa. Okay. Thank you for the $2. Thank you for the $5, Jack Shannon. I appreciate the $5. Yeah, let's actually pull up the featherweight rankings, and I want to do Prime Conor versus each featherweight. We'll do like five. You want to do 5-rounder? We'll do 5-rounder because Prime Conor wouldn't be fighting in a 3-rounder. Okay, so here we go. Ilya pieces Prime Conor up. I think Ilya beats Prime Conor. I think Ilya Topuria is way more defensively sound, and I think the fact that he can mix in the grappling and the fact that he can also KO you with one shot, and he's only a couple inches shorter than Conor, I think that that's a real bad matchup for McGregor. He has good cardio too, and he has hustle. Conor has the left hand, though. Yeah, he does have the left hand. Whoa, man. Yeah, that's true. Thank you for the $2. Okay, let me pull this up. All right, so let's just go down the list. Prime Conor versus Edson Barboza. I think McGregor beats him. What do you guys think? Conor versus Barboza, who wins? Edson's ranked number 15. We're going to go down the list. You sound autistic anytime you go, oh, yeah. I mean, If it's coming from a legit place of me really being hyped, yes, it does. Thank you for the $2. What do you guys think, Edson or Conor? I think Conor wins. Edson's good, but I don't think people realize that he's been outstruck multiple times, even in his prime. Okay, Ige versus Conor. That's a tricky one, though. See, that's actually a tricky one. No, I'm kidding. It's not actually a tricky one. I think Conor probably beats Dan Ige. Ige's actually getting better. I can't be the only one that's noticed Ige improving a lot. Like, he was competitive. He was very competitive with Diego Lopez on the feet. And I know Diego Lopez is not known for being an amazing striker, but Ige's performances have consistently got better. He arguably beat Bryce Mitchell, too. Bryce Mitchell, oh, man, that's a dangerous matchup for McGregor. I just think McGregor outgrapples him. To be honest, I could just see McGregor going in there and taking him down and kind of butchering him on the ground, you know? Yeah. Mitchell's a good grappler. He's a sticky grappler, but McGregor's just, he's a brown belt. What do you guys think? McGregor or Bryce Mitchell? Seriously, actually. Because I actually think that some people might actually pick Bryce Mitchell. If Bryce Mitchell gets McGregor down, you know McGregor's not getting up, right? Just straight up. 100%. McGregor, Conor, RIP Aspinall. What's happening to Aspinall? Aspinall popped! No way! Dude. No way. I don't believe you. You got to be trolling. But that's something, Aspinall and popped is something that I don't think you would make up. No, he didn't pop. I don't see anything about Aspinall popping. Nothing about Aspinall popping. No way. No, you're bullshitting. They're bullshitting. I don't believe it. What is the significance of a French guy Gane tapping to a fake guillotine in a fake fight? Humiliation ritual for his initiation into French films? You know what? You may be onto something, right? I don't know. He didn't put up a fight. That's the thing. The thing that people don't understand that's weird about that fight, it's not that Gane lost in the first round. It's that he didn't struggle. He didn't put up a struggle on the ground. It's not even about Jones submitting him or Jones taking him down. He didn't even put up any struggle. There was no kipping. There was no... He wasn't moving. He was chilling up against the fence. Jones, the fact that Jones didn't submit him earlier is actually a knock on Jones, to be honest. What do you guys think? The fact that John Jones took a minute to get Gane out of there when Gane was not even fighting back, it's actually a bad look on Jones. No, I'm joking. He was starstruck? I don't think he was starstruck. He never even fought hands. Yeah, he never even fought hands, bro. It was very suspicious, but it is what it is. Okay, Aspinall popped. Okay, a lot of people are saying Aspinall popped in the chat. I don't believe it. I'm not seeing anything about Aspinall popping. If that was the case, then it would be all over Instagram. It'd be all over social media. It's not being posted anywhere. I'll go to Tom Aspinall's page. No, he didn't pop, bro. I'm not buying that for a second. But Aspinall popping is a believable guy. Like I wouldn't think that he's on steroids, but when it comes to trolling, if you say a name like Jones popped, I'm gonna be like, I don't believe it. Not because he hasn't popped before, just because it's too obvious. But Aspinall popping, that's like a random guy that you would never think would pop for steroids. Anyway. Okay, so you guys think that Conor beats Bryce Mitchell? Listen, I understand McGregor is very dangerous, but can we just say this? Bryce Mitchell has underrated takedown entries, and he's a better grappler than Chad Mendes. Yes or no? He is a better grappler than Chad Mendes. Control grappler. What do you mean, man? Chad Mendes was a big wrestler with a big blast double leg, bro. What do you mean? Chad Mendes was a strong wrestler, man. Of course he was a better... Oh, shut up. Whoa, wait a second. Are you kidding me? He's a better grappler than Chad Mendes. Wait. So Chad Mendes took people down and didn't submit people, didn't really beat people up that badly. He was a guy that took people down, they got up a minute later. And yeah, he took Conor down and beat him up a little bit. Bryce Mitchell isn't as damaging on the ground necessarily. But guess what? When Bryce Mitchell takes people down, they don't get up. Ilia Topuria didn't get up. He took down Ilia Topuria. You know that's more impressive than taking down McGregor if you're Chad Mendes. Okay? He took down Dan Ige, and it looked like Dan Ige was fighting against a boa constrictor. All right? Listen, I'm not saying Bryce Mitchell beats McGregor. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying if McGregor gets taken down in that fight, there's a real, this is, as Bedtime says, this is a real thing, as Chael Sonnen says, actually, but this is a real thing. If McGregor gets taken down by Bryce Mitchell, it's actually a problem. You've literally never been correct about anything? That's not really? Didn't I predict Islam Makhachev to KO Alexander Volkanovski? Didn't I predict Makhachev to beat Volk the first time? Haven't I gotten every single main event right this year? Come on, bro. Mendes and McGregor would KO Mitchell easily? No, not easily. I'm sorry, bro. Not easily. It would actually be tricky. No, I actually think that they would... I think that McGregor KOs Bryce Mitchell. I think McGregor's distance... I think he KOs Bryce Mitchell. I'm just saying it would be an issue if he gets taken down. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that Bryce Mitchell beats McGregor. I'm not saying that. I'm saying if he gets taken down, that's bad. Okay, Diego Lopez and McGregor. Prime McGregor versus Diego Lopez. Who you guys got? What do you like for SARMs these days? I've never taken SARMs. I think that if you're taking SARMs, you're just too much of a wimp to take real steroids. And I listen, I don't think taking steroids is like not wimpy. I think it could be dumb if you're not doing your research, and I also don't recommend them. But why would you take SARMs? Do you agree with Sean O'Malley taking home the ESPY for best fighter? I feel like Pereira got robbed. You are right. I mean, there's no point of even talking about it because I think anyone in their right mind would agree that Pereira got robbed. The guys fought on two of the biggest events this year and had perfect performances in title fights against former champions. O'Malley beat up Marlon Vera. Good win, but obviously not as impressive as what Pereira's done. Yeah. And if you want to talk about, well, the ESPYs is for last year too. Okay, so Pereira also beat Yuri Prohaska in November. You know what I mean? He's fought 3 times since November. O'Malley's fought once. So yeah, I think it's ridiculous. Okay, but Diego Lopez versus McGregor. Who you guys got? We're going down the list. Prime McGregor versus Diego Lopez. Who you guys got? They wanted to give it to a U.S. athlete. Did they say that it was only for U.S. athletes? Did they say that it was only a competition for U.S. athletes? I don't think they would say that. And I don't think that's necessarily true. I think that whoever's voting for that, they're just complete casuals. They don't know what they're talking about. Conor first round KO, McGregor. First round KO on a guy who has a granite chin is pretty crazy. But okay. All right. I think McGregor could beat him, but Diego Lopez is a big featherweight. I think Diego Lopez is better than Chad Mendes. What do you mean he's better than Chad Mendes? I could see people saying that. Dude, Chad Mendes. So much nostalgia bias goes into a thought process like that. Diego Lopez has never lost in the UFC outside of one fight that he took on short notice against a really solid fighter. Diego Lopez could very well go on to have a better resume than Chad Mendes. And he's about to hit his prime. So it's not crazy to say that. Why do you always have to try and have a... It's not a crazy take! It's not a crazy take. You want to... Okay, let's pull up Chad Mendes' resume. Let's pull up Chad Mendes' record. You know. Thank you for the $5, Dylan. If Nate Diaz can bop Conor's head around, I see Lopez doing it too. Nate Diaz was a little bit different in his prime, to be fair. But yeah, Lopez is dangerous. Let's look at Chad Mendes. Okay. So this is the almighty Chad Mendes, guys. The almighty Chad Mendes. Okay? Very good. We're not, there's no doubt about that. But what's his best win? Ricardo Lamas, Clay Guida, Darren Elkins. Those are the big three. Cub Swanson. So, do you guys think that Diego Lopez would be incapable of beating a guy like Darren Elkins, Nick Lentz, Ricardo Lamas? Diego, see, this is the thing. You guys say it's a crazy take. I know it's not just about this, but you're almost talking about it as if Chad Mendes has achieved this like elite status by beating the elite fighters. He's beat good fighters like Diego Lopez. Lopez beating Dan Ige is better than this dude beating Ricardo Lamas. Or at least it's similar, because Ricardo Lamas was decent. Lopez beats Mendes, not Conor. I think Lopez is, all I'm saying is that Lopez could be better than Chad Mendes. It's not a hot take, but I see what you're saying. I don't think he necessarily beats Prime Conor. But if it goes to the ground, it would be a big issue. I'm not, okay, you guys are getting it twisted. I'm not arguing that Diego Lopez beats McGregor. I'm arguing Diego Lopez and Chad Mendes, who's a better fighter. And I'm just saying it's not all that obvious. Thoughts on Umar Sy? I saw that he had a fight booked. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, he's a good prospect for the heavyweight division. Or is it light heavyweight? I kind of forget which division he's in, but he had a good first-round submission in his last outing. Lopez will never be top 5 or champ. I disagree. Big time. He didn't even have a full training camp in his last fight. His gas tank is the only thing that can hold him back. He's like a modern-day McGregor when it comes to the gas tank. Okay? Okay, so let's continue to look at the list. Let's continue to go down the list. So we've so far determined that we're probably picking Conor in his prime to beat the top 4. But he gets taken down by Diego or Bryce Mitchell, it's going to be an issue. Lerone Murphy versus McGregor. Oh, but this is where it gets a little bit tricky for McGregor. Man, I could just, you know the Dan Hardy guys at Full Reptile. They love McGregor, but they love a UK prospect more. Oh, just think Lerone Murphy. I mean, McGregor plays people like instruments, but I could just see Lerone frustrating with him with that wrestling pressure, you know? I could just see Lerone frustrating him with the takedowns and whatnot. Yeah. He's got the wrestling pressure, right? So, what do you guys think? Lerone Murphy or McGregor? Seriously. Let's get your picks. Conor, I think most of us are going to go with Conor. I don't think Lerone Murphy has the finishing potential on the ground to like beat Conor McGregor there. UK fans are the biggest glazers for their fighters. Very true. Very true. And Nigerians. UK fans and Nigerians, bro. I don't know who else. Maybe the Mexicans. They do glaze their fighters too. The Mexicans wait until after the fight, after a close fight, to call it an obvious robbery. That's what the Mexicans will do. They'll call it an obvious robbery when it was actually very close every single time. But I understand. It's not the most casual thing to do all the time because close fights, I mean, every robbery is somewhat a close fight. Scamrot versus Hooker official in Perth. Nice. Thank you for the 20 NOK. I actually am hyped for that fight. And I was worried that they were going to give Dan Hooker an irrelevant nobody just because he wanted to be on the card. That's what I was worried about. And I'm actually happy that it's a ranked fight. That's awesome. That's big. I think Gamrot wins, but I love that fight. It's a great fight. I was worried they were going to do Dan Hooker versus someone like Nick Lentz or whatever. Okay, so let's move on. Let's continue. Giga Chikadze. Wait a second. They don't even have a number 10 here. They just went from 11 to 9. Oh, they have 2 9s. Okay, so Giga Chikadze versus McGregor. I think, Giga did school Edson Barboza and made him look easy. That's not an easy fight for Conor. Hold on. Prime Giga Chikadze. Are we talking about the version right now? Or are we talking about Prime Giga? No. Stop, man. Stop. Dude, this is like the fucking perfect response to what I'm saying. This is basically, just stop, man. Why can't you just say it's obvious, bro? I'm just saying we got to dig into the weeds. Okay? Prime Giga. Prime Giga. Prime Giga was when he fought Edson Barboza. Hold on. If you guys watched Giga Chikadze's fight against Edson Barboza, you remember the aura. You do. Anyone that watched that fight live remembers being incredibly impressed with how he made Edson look slow. Washed up Barboza. Barboza, after that, had like 6 more fights and won most of them. He wasn't that washed up. Listen, I think McGregor wins. I'm just saying that version of Giga is tougher than Dennis Seaver. Similar matchups. The two guys that kick, right? Throw a lot of kick spinning attacks. Giga's a tougher fight than Dennis. Just being honest. And he's not a freaking manlet dwarf. All right? Well, anyway, let's get on to the next one. Stop, bro. Yeah, he melted Edson. Giga is so bad. I'm saying the Giga that fought Edson Barboza. Not right now. I think the Giga that... You know what? He might come back better. Bro, this Goggins versus Strickland beef is so dumb to me. Goggins never claimed to be a fighter. What is Strickland's problem? I know, dude. Sean Strickland... Listen. Every time I'm about to go in on it, I just remember that he's crazy. And that's not to say you got to write off everything he says, but like, you can't expect Strickland to have like this really well thought out philosophy on everything, right? He's going to be inconsistent. He doesn't have to have the most sober takes. You shouldn't expect Sean Strickland to have the most sober takes. Strickland's just a wild man at times, and he has his own reasons for not liking people in the special forces. I think he said that they're, something along the lines of they're yes men and they're brainwashed. And I'm not going to get into that, but listen, I think that it's a little bit weak to be calling out Goggins to a sparring match. Like, nobody on earth would expect a non-fighter, someone that doesn't train, to beat someone that is at the highest level of a sport. It's like Usain Bolt calling someone out to a race. You know what I mean? It's like Usain Bolt calling someone out that doesn't even train sprinting. That's maybe like I don't know, some other endurance athlete, like a biker, a cyclist, to a 100-meter race. It just doesn't really make a lot of sense. You know what? He just doesn't like David Goggins. This is the thing. He thinks that David Goggins is a scam artist. He thinks that David Goggins is a non-serious, not genuine scam artist, like a self-help guy. And he's definitely been able to market himself as a self-improvement guy 100%. But that's smart, is it not? Like, he's made a career off of being this really intense figure, which is a smart thing. I don't think David Goggins is necessarily... I don't think he's fake. I don't think Goggins is a different person behind the scenes. I don't think he amps it up. I think Goggins has actually got a screw loose. And I don't think he gives great advice when it comes to workouts. I don't think Goggins is a good trainer, but I think he's entertaining, and I think that he offers value, and I think he's tough, and I think he's inspiring. And I don't think he's fake. I think Sean Strickland looks at David Goggins and he thinks he's like some fake, not genuine guy that behind the scenes is different. I don't believe that. Right? But yeah. Is it just me that can't stand Strickland anymore? He was funny at first, but now he just seems obnoxious. Well, Strickland back in the Apex days. Strickland in the Apex days when he was main eventing against Jack Hermanson and Uriah Hall was way funnier, was way more real, I believe. I'm not saying he's fake, but it was just fresh back in the day. But now it's kind of overplayed a little bit. I still like Strickland, but yeah, he's been a little bit whiny about, ducking fights and demanding title fights, and he's kind of turned into what he said he wasn't going to become. He used to be about not caring. Who cares, man? Who cares? But I also understand wanting to hold out for a title fight because Strickland has also said in the past, which is not totally inconsistent with him whining about wanting a title fight, he's also said that it's about money. He wants to fight for money. Let's not mistake that. Strickland wants to get paid as much as possible. And if there's a chance that he can get himself a title fight for more money, then I understand him not wanting to fight Whittaker. I get it. Just because Strickland used to be the I don't care guy doesn't mean he never said he didn't want to make as much money as possible. And he's made it clear that that's why he gets in the ring and fights. He likes training. He likes fighting in the gym. But, yeah. But, yeah, I mean, I don't think we need to see the Goggins and Strickland collab. I mean, it'd be fun, but I don't really want to see Goggins get beat up by Strickland. I like David Goggins, and it's pretty obvious that if Strickland trains with Goggins and he doesn't freak out and get pissed and beat up Goggins during the training session, that he's going to break in the training as well. Like, he's going to get tired. When I say break, we already know what happens. Strickland beats up Goggins, and Goggins gets Strickland to tire out. I mean, it's not really a mystery. Cobblestone knees, Goggins versus Staff, Curry, BSD. Fully gassed, who wins? Fully gassed, who wins? Cobblestone knees and swamp feet. Thank you for the $8 Australian dollars. I think Goggins might beat a fully staffed up, gassed out Benoit Saint Denis, to be honest. Because even Goggins always has the mental energy. I could see Benoit just being mentally drained when he's gassed, even though he has all the skills. Yeah, Goggins, that's why I don't want to see it, because Goggins won't back down until he gets KO'd. He's an old man. I don't want to see some old man who's mentally unstable get knocked the fuck out against Sean Strickland. You know what I mean? I just don't want to see that. Goggins why do you think he runs so much? It's all cope. And that's fine. That's fine. A lot of us do things out of cope, but like Goggins trying to prove to everyone how hard he is, trying to outdo everyone when it comes to fitness and stuff. Like, he's got to screw loose. All right? Goggins has some real hatred fueling all of this. And I think it's funny, but it's also kind of unfortunate. But you know what? The world needs someone like Goggins. I'm happy that Goggins exists because he inspires people to lose weight. And sometimes you need an intense person like Goggins to give people a kick in the ass to like get off the couch and actually work out. That's what Goggins is really good for. He motivates people to get in shape because he has that same story. He's lost a lot of weight. But yeah. But listen, I think if you're one of these guys that loves to push themselves 15, 20 miles and you love the pain, I think that's so bad for your health, honestly. And I stopped doing it. Last summer, I was doing 10 miles. I was doing 15 miles sometimes. I'm done with that shit, bro. I'll do like a 2-mile run because it's not healthy. It's horrible for your immune system. People in nature, I mean, yeah, they would hunt, but you know, running 15 miles is just not good for you. It's not good for your central nervous system. It's going to age you. It's going to increase your cortisol levels. It's going to, have your cortisol go through the roof. It's going to have you decline in testosterone as well. Again, I'm not saying that you shouldn't train hard. You can. But if your goal is health, don't do that shit. If your goal is just, you know what, fuck it. Like, I like pushing myself, then go for it. Go for it. Because I understand it. Like, I love pushing myself on a workout. Me and Lucas used to be the hardest men in the world. True, bro. Very true. MMA Sturu. Yeah, I like long runs, but I right now I'm getting back into the whole, I want to be natural. I want to, in the modern world that we're in, live as close to nature as possible with diet and training style. You know, instead of a 15-mile run, I'm going to go for a stroll at the Lagoon Beach. All right? Get some sun. I'll go for a nice walk. No, I'm kidding. I'm not going that wimpy with it. But Nina Drama versus Goggins, you got. I could see Goggins getting angry at Nina Drama if they did an interview together. Why does the UFC push Paddy to UK fans so hard when Tom is a literal finish machine with heavyweight GOAT potential? Because they don't want to distract people from John Jones. That's why they're not pushing Tom Aspinall so much. Because again, it's not about the fact that they don't market Aspinall. They don't promote him, but they're waiting until the week of the fight. And Aspinall is so impressive in the cage, where you have people like Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua that get tons of promotion that are big stars. I think Aspinall has potential to be a bigger star than all of those guys, because I think MMA is a more entertaining sport. I think the UFC has a lot of clout compared to these boxing promotions where you don't even know the fight's happening until the week of sometimes. And I think Aspinall is so good and he's got such a fan-friendly style that he should be pushed a lot more than he is. But John Jones is the champ, and they don't want to push Aspinall as the best heavyweight in the world because they still are banking on Jones to fight one more time. So that's why. And as far as Paddy, Paddy said recently that he's not necessarily going to sign with the UFC again. Maybe that's just a marketing tactic so that the UFC pays him more because they wouldn't want to see him leave. So he's acting like he doesn't care if he sticks around or not. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, listen, he's already kind of a big name in the UK, right? It's not like they really need to push him that much. Goggins is just a non-retarded Forrest Gump. True. But he is a little bit, he's a little bit, I wouldn't say he's a little bit slow, but it's all good, man. Goggins has the experience to make up for it. He's got the life experience. Cobblestone knees, Goggins versus, I already answered that, but I'm going to go with cobblestone knees, Goggins. Do you think Izzy will give Strickland a title shot after Izzy versus DDP, or do you think they will make him fight Whitaker? I want to see the Whitaker fight just because I think that that's the best fight they could make. It's a fight that Strickland hasn't had, and if he beats Whitaker, then his resume improves more than it would by him beating Adesanya again. Because Whitaker, in his own right, is one of the best middleweights ever, very close to Adesanya resume-wise, and I just want to see that fight because we've seen all these other rematches at middleweight. I'd rather see a new matchup. But do I think the UFC is going to give Strickland the title shot? I don't know. I don't think they are, to be honest. I think that they would be happy to pass him up just because they want to put their foot down and let people know that you can't just wait around. And Strickland, even though Strickland has a diehard, dedicated fan base, I don't think he's as big of a star as he would need to be in order to get the UFC to say, you know what, let's have this guy sit out and we'll reward him. But anyway, we got sidetracked, but let's continue to go down the rankings. So we're talking about Prime McGregor, guys, remember. So we just talked about Giga Chikadze. Calvin Kattar versus Prime McGregor. I'm going with Prime McGregor. I mean, this is a pretty easy pick right here. They're both boxers. I'd say McGregor's the better boxer. Say McGregor's kicking game is better. In a 5-rounder, things could get interesting because Calvin Kattar's never been knocked out. Sounds like Nate Diaz or chin like James Vick. Chin like James Vick because I don't have to be a fighter. I don't have to get in the cage to get knocked out to show everyone. I don't want to sound like Nate Diaz. Thank you for the $2. Okay, guys. Calvin Kattar or McGregor? McGregor, easy money like Moicano says. Yeah, I would definitely pick Conor. 5-rounder, though. You got to see what I'm thinking, guys. If McGregor doesn't finish Kattar and it gets to the 4th and 5th, things could get interesting. Zabit was a great striker, and Kattar was whooping his ass in the 3rd round of their fight. Okay? But do you okay, now my next question is, do you think McGregor KOs him? Do you think McGregor finishes Calvin Kattar? I know that just because someone has a granite chin, it doesn't mean they can't be finished. Like Francis Ngannou had a granite chin, got finished badly against Anthony Joshua. Do you think he finishes him? Yes. Someone says yes. He schools him? No. Nah. So we're kind of mixed on that. I don't think he finishes him. I don't know if he does. Prime McGregor, though, massive for featherweight. McGregor would be bigger than Calvin Kattar, so maybe he finishes him. Maybe he could land the right shot, accurate enough to put him away. Next up, bantamweight skill, Aljamain Sterling. You know how we talk about featherweight skill. What about bantamweight skill, Aljamain Sterling versus McGregor? Next one. Who are you guys picking, Prime McGregor or Aljo? McGregor, man. Come on. Don't be dumb, bro. Okay, but what if Aljo, who we didn't think would outgrapple Calvin Kattar as easily as he did, I thought he would be able to be more dominant by taking him down, but the fact that he took him down with such ease was pretty impressive. Aljo, Conor, Aljo backpacks him. Dude, I could see Aljamain Sterling with his former bantamweight championship grappling skill out-grappling McGregor. Conor would do him like O'Malley? Maybe, but I think O'Malley's better than McGregor. I think he's a lot better, and he's a lot faster and slicker with his footwork. McGregor was a bit of a marauder. McGregor's a bigger, more powerful O'Malley. Also a slower, less slick, not as fast footwork. You mean smudge skill? Aljamain could, but the thing is, if Aljamain doesn't get KO'd, he has a good gas tank. I think McGregor could gas out. In a 5-rounder, I'm talking about 5-rounder. Listen, it's obvious. Aljo either gets KO'd or he wins a decision in a 5-rounder. That's my take on it. Aljo would win a decision, but McGregor could definitely get the KO. I think it's actually a close fight. Josh Emmett. Okay, well, this is actually a good one. What do you guys think? Josh Emmett versus McGregor. I think this is pretty obvious. I think Josh Emmett wins just because he's a big, powerful puncher. McGregor's known for his power, but Emmett's got better power and better technique. I'm joking. I think we would all agree that Prime McGregor probably beats Emmett. But Prime McGregor was very hittable. His defense wasn't that great. There's a pathway for Emmett, but I think Emmett's too predictable, and that's the classic. You know, sometimes I disagree with people's assessment of McGregor's just tailor-made for these stocky wrestlers. But in this case, I think Josh Emmett's very predictable style, dip his head, throw overhands, and meaty hooks. I don't think that's enough for McGregor. Okay, now we're getting to the real test. Arnold Allen versus McGregor. You know what? I think Arnold Allen is Prime McGregor in his prime. I think you put Arnold Allen back in the 2013 days, I think he is doing similar things that McGregor did to these early 2010s fighters. I actually think Allen is faster than Prime McGregor. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know who wins because Arnold has a bit of a chinny chin chin. He's getting rocked by Movsar Evloev, which is not a good look. And Allen does get hit. Hey, he took the 5th round off of Holloway. He took the 2nd and 5th round off of Holloway. Pretty impressive. Allen has no power, kid. I mean, he's got tons of speed and thud. Allen is too good and stronger. Yeah, I could see McGregor rocking Allen. I think McGregor's power is definitely superior to Brendan Allen's. Allen is way more well-rounded than Prime McGregor. Yeah, but when does Allen really ever pull out the grappling? Well-rounded. He's got good takedown defense, but when is he really pulling out the offensive grappling? Flukas, what is the flukiest KO you've ever seen? Probably like MVP versus Lima. That's just the first one that comes to mind. Oh, no. Not even that. Jacob Malkoun versus Andre Petroski. Petroski getting KO'd with a takedown attempt of his own. He shot a takedown and got KO'd by the hip of Jacob Malkoun. That's probably the flukiest KO I've ever seen. Okay, Yair. Oh, this is the real casual test. Yair Rodriguez versus McGregor. 5 rounds. 5 rounds. McGregor is hittable, and it's against Yair Rodriguez, who's got insane output, who never tires out. That's the thing about Yair. Yair gets beat up on the ground. He never tires out on the feet. In the 5th round against Max Holloway, Yair Rodriguez still was throwing tons of output with lots of good speed. Got to take Yair. I think Yair could potentially beat up McGregor. I think Yair would be that much of a nightmare for Conor. Yes, I could see Conor McGregor landing like gnarly left hands on the chin of Yair, rocking his head back. But does he take him down? Is he going to be reliant on the KO? Yair has a decent chin. Is he going to be reliant on the KO? McGregor outgrapples him. He could if his ego allows him. The thing is, McGregor, would his ego allow him to grapple early? Because if he doesn't grapple early and it gets into the 3rd round and Yair's winning and McGregor then starts to grapple, he's probably gassed. McGregor's gas tank in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th, not so great. Would he be able to consistently take down Yair when he's slowing down after the hard weight cut? Because has McGregor ever really pushed a crazy pace in a 5-rounder at featherweight? No, he's never gone 5 rounds at featherweight. He's outgrappled Holloway back in the day, but I don't even think that version of Holloway is as good as Yair Rodriguez on the ground today. And Holloway was not as much of an issue on the feet as Yair is. Back in the day, Max Holloway was not an issue on the feet like Yair is today. I think Yair could potentially win. Yeah, it's Yair, he's soft. Well, McGregor can gas. McGregor can literally gas. Hey, man, who would have won in 2016, McGregor or RDA? McGregor. I would definitely go with McGregor by KO. Is welterweight top 5 better than featherweights? No. Volk, Holloway, Evloev underrated? No, definitely not. Well, you got Bilal Muhammad and Colby Covington in the top 5? Fuck no. Yair's overrated? No, I don't think he's overrated. I think most people actually look past Yair in a way. Most people rate him properly, I would say. His grappling sucks. We know he's good on the feet, but does anyone really overrate Yair on the feet that much? The majority of people don't talk about Yair as being as good as he actually is on the feet. They actually look at Brian Ortega submitting Yair and just winning against Yair, and because of that outcome, they will therefore say Yair's not that good on the feet. Like, they won't say he's not good on the feet just because he didn't beat Ortega, but they'll kind of pump the brakes on Yair in his whole entire game because of a loss to Ortega, when him getting submitted by Brian Ortega is not even a bad look. Like, some people would say him losing to Ortega is a horrible look. This fight was sloppy. I get it. Both guys have like massive holes in their game in different ways. Like, Ortega's hole is his stand-up defense and Yair's hole is his grappling. But let's be honest. Is it that bad of a look to get submitted by Brian Ortega? Are you trash because you get submitted by Brian Ortega on the ground? I don't think so. I'm not saying Yair Rodriguez is an underrated grappler. I'm just saying him getting submitted by Brian Ortega doesn't mean he's just all of a sudden just not even that good. Yair doesn't have any power. He knocked down Brian Ortega twice. He does have a good amount of power. Anyway, Yair looks like a chipmunk. He actually does. He does look like a chipmunk. Okay, Ortega versus Conor. Prime versus Prime. Who wins? Ortega versus Conor. What's up, Leo Cooper? Ortega versus Conor. I think that McGregor wins this, but the thing is, can anyone knock Ortega out on the feet for real? Can anyone separate him from his consciousness? Because Brian Ortega is one of those guys that could get beat up for 4 rounds, and in the 5th, he has his best round against Volk. The 5th round was Ortega's best round against Volk. Still lost, but has a great gas tank. Ortega submission. If Ortega gets McGregor down, he's messing him up. And Ortega's grappling is actually, or wrestling, is not as bad as people make it out to be. Ortega has decent takedowns. He's not really struggled taking people down as much as people think. He's had good success with it. He just doesn't shoot a lot. Ortega via chin mogging and just cardio mogging, durability mogging, zombie mogging. That's a nightmare for McGregor in the later rounds. Because McGregor would land the kitchen sink at him. He's like a Nate Diaz in his own way. McGregor lands the kitchen sink on him, drops him twice in the first round, and Ortega's still there, fresh. You know, chin fully recovered in the second. I could see Prime McGregor fading and getting submitted by sloppy man Ortega, just like he got finished by sloppy Nate Diaz. Sloppy Diaz. I know Diaz had great boxing and a good submission game, but you get my point. I could see it being an issue if McGregor doesn't finish him. Holloway versus McGregor. Okay, this is obvious. Max Holloway versus McGregor. The only way McGregor beats Max Holloway, this version of Max, is if he knocks him out. That's not happening. Holloway would TKO McGregor in the later rounds. There's no doubt about it. Holloway could take McGregor down and beat him up on the ground. Holloway could literally use the game plan that McGregor used on him back in the day to McGregor in his prime. Holloway could take McGregor down. Holloway is good grappling. Yeah, Max. Easy fight for Max. Not easy in the early going, but this is basically Max versus Yair, but Yair has a horrible gas tank and fades in the third, fourth, and fifth. I think Holloway TKOs him. Alexander Volkanovski. I understand this is a easier matchup for McGregor because it's not an unfinishable guy, but I think it's similar. I think Volkanovski takes McGregor down, beats him up, and I think he finishes McGregor in the later rounds. I think Volkanovski's cardio is off the charts. I think his grappling is good enough for him to take down McGregor. And I actually think his speed is good enough for him to be able to stand with McGregor a bit. I don't think it's just Volk gets chinned. This is the thing that kind of annoys me. It's like people look at Volkanovski and say he loses to everyone with power. I understand that he's gotten KO'd by people that have power. One person. Volk gets KO'd by everyone with power. He's been KO'd by one guy that has crazy power. Now you're going to say Islam Makhachev too. Well, he fought Islam Makhachev the first time, 5 rounds, and took knees, flush to the face, got hit with flush combinations on the feet. Yeah, he got KO'd when he was 1 week off the couch with a horrible weight cut. Yeah, it was a perfectly set up head kick, but it wasn't just the power was too much. He's been KO'd by one guy because power, okay? And it was not just power, it was perfect technique. Volkanovski went a whole fucking career not getting KO'd. I think he could potentially not get KO'd against McGregor. I'm picking Volk. I don't think you're crazy if you think McGregor chins him, but I think you are crazy if you're saying... I think you are crazy if you're saying something like this. Conor chins him, man. Just stop, man. Dude, I can't take it anymore. It's such a shit take, bro. That's where you're crazy. All right, we're going to do a poll. This is a perfect time for a poll. Perfect time for a poll. Thank you for the $10. Hey, Lucas, I'm working on my end of the year school project, which is a documentary on Whittaker's career. Nice. That sounds like a very fun, easy in a good way, like meaning it's going to be easy because you enjoy MMA, choice for end of the year project. You're going to do a school project documentary on Whittaker's career. I'm a big fan of your documentary, so I wanted to ask if you have any advice on making one. Yeah. Obviously. Thank you for the $10. I appreciate that. Listen, man, I've been making documentaries for 50 years. All right. I've been making documentaries for a long time. First thing you got to understand is you'll never make one as good as me. I'm joking. I actually need to start making more documentaries. And I kind of feel like I don't think I'm lazy for not making documentaries, but like I want to post every single day. I'll talk about this after. I'll talk about this after I give you the advice, by the way. So I wanted to ask if you have any advice on making one. I'm about to start yapping. I'm sorry. Yeah. Whitaker's career. All right. How much time do you have for the documentary? Like, how much time do you have to make it? If you have one more week, then my answer is going to depend on that. If you have like a month, then my answer is going to depend on that. So quick Cobalt, let me know. How much more time do you have? Blow wasted $10, man. He's not. I'm actually responding to him. I'm waiting for him to follow up. How much more time do you have on the documentary? This guy's waiting. I swear, people will send a super chat and they'll just freaking dip. They'll just leave right away. Where is this dude? I'm waiting for his response. Bro just freaking left. Sometimes people send a super chat and I ask them a question to follow up and they never respond. Bro's not even listening. Here he is. It's due late August. Okay, late August, but I'm currently working on a promo vid. Okay, so then in that case, my recommendation is to not... I think that you can't skimp on footage for your documentary. So, for example, if you're going to make like a 15-minute video and you actually want it to be good and you want it to keep people engaged the whole time, it's easy to just say, okay, you know, I'm 7 minutes into this. It's taken me over a day to find footage to put over my talking points. I'm just going to use a photo, put that on screen and extend it to 20 seconds just because I'm too lazy to get 4 or 5 different videos for 20 seconds. So my recommendation is just try to fill up the documentary as much as possible with video footage rather than just photos. Because, yeah, you can use a lot of photos, but if it's just a documentary where, like, there's 10 seconds of a photo on screen and then it switches to another photo on screen, it can get a little bit stale. It doesn't really look like a documentary. And it's going to take you a lot of time. So just be willing to, like, put in 7 hours a day on it for, like, 7 days or something like that. That's my recommendation. Other than that, I'm not like a mastermind when it comes to making documentaries, but I think that makes a huge difference. It'll surprise you. 1 minute of footage, you might have to get like 10 different videos from Robert Whitaker interviews and face-offs, him hitting pads to fill just 1 minute of footage. So yeah. But anyway, yeah, I want to start doing more documentaries because I did a couple of good ones last year and they did really well and you guys enjoyed them and some people subscribed to my channel because of them. So I'm actually going to do them. The reason why I've stopped doing them is because it can take me like a week, not a week, but it could take me like 4 days to make one. And that's 4 days where I'm not posting anything. And sometimes it pays off. You know what I mean? Like sometimes they do really well. But sometimes I think it's better to just post daily, and post more and live stream more. But I'll do it. I'm going to put some real effort into some documentaries, and I'll maybe post less to make them. I'll probably try to do one a month. Opinion on Aspinall becoming the heavyweight GOAT. Thank you for the $2. Opinion on Tom Aspinall becoming the heavyweight GOAT. Very possible. Very possible. If he destroys Curtis Blades and he beats Gane, he wouldn't be the GOAT, but that means that he's going to become the GOAT. Those are the toughest matchups. I think Pavlovich was tougher than Blades, but I think that if he beats Gane, then he's probably going to become the GOAT. Now that you got, what's his name out of the way? Who's that guy from Cuba? Robelis to Spain. Now that we know Robelis to Spain ain't going to be a big issue, I think it's just a matter of whether he beats Gane or not. Plan for 100K subs? I don't know, but I'm going to be thinking about it a lot today. Got to do something. Aspinall just popped. I don't believe it. You guys were saying that. Let's check the poll, though. Let's check the poll. 68% of you guys have Volkanovski beating Prime Conor in a featherweight 5-rounder. Yeah, seems about right. Seems about right. I thought it would be closer than that, to be honest, but yeah. Remember when you thought Rubelis would be a top 5 heavyweight? Yeah. I did. I got to be honest. I thought his athleticism would carry him. And I thought his striking would be better. But didn't look that great in his last fight. Only a slave watches others fight, man. True, Joey. That's why, don't you watch MMA? You exposing yourself? I'm just joking. But, yeah, it's very true, man. If you watch people fight, if you watch sports and you watch the circuses and bread and cheese and wine at the circuses, then you're just spraying wash, bro. Yeah, thank you for the $2. I disagree. I think that, you can get some entertainment in life by watching sport. I don't think there's anything wrong. I'm Godis maxing. Godis has a hilarious channel. I'm going to react to some of his videos on the member stream sometime. When will you replicate the aura of fighters? What do you mean, when will I replicate the aura of fighters? Oh, I see what you're saying. I've been talking about making a video like that for the past couple of months. I see what you're saying. It's capturing the essence of every single fighter, not just the aura, but the essence. That's going to be my impressions video. I know a lot of you guys have been seeing impression videos. Bedtime made one. Left Lane, you mentioned that you were going to make one. I'm going to do something similar. But it's not just going to be impressions. It's going to be like the movements and the body language. You know? And I'm looking forward to doing the McGregor impression, the Yoel impression. That's going to be hilarious. People won't like this, but Paddy was actually getting super popular. I had friends who didn't watch MMA who knew who he was. You're right. I knew people that didn't watch MMA that knew who he was. They all know him by Paddy the Baddy. That's what people know him by, Paddy the Baddy. And I'm talking about Americans. I'm not even talking about Brits. You're right. Paddy actually is popular, very popular, and he has a big name outside of the hardcore fan base. He's not a superstar, but still. Do a Volk Glaze Yap session. Okay. Thank you for the $2. Is it too much to make a video on the most underrated fighter ever? I'm going to do a series. Maybe once a week where I do the most forgotten fighter, most overrated fighter, most underrated fighter, the most forgotten striker, stuff like that. I mean, who is your most underrated fighter ever? Because I think that when I say underrated, I mean that he's not rated high enough. But I actually think it's starting to change. I think that a lot of the work that I've done has got people to think differently about the GOAT conversation. Speaking of the GOAT conversation, I remember the Weasel posted his list. But all the talking that I've done about Volk and the GOAT conversation has people kind of understanding that it's not all about title defenses and title wins. And so you can't just say, well, Volk and Usman have the same amount of title wins and therefore they have the same resume or whatever. So maybe he's not actually the most underrated fighter anymore. I think people are starting to catch on to Volk being as good as he is all time. Maybe I can't even call him the most underrated. Who is your most underrated fighter ever? Let's hear it. There's not one established GOAT. Yeah. I think Jones is probably most people's pick, but yeah. I see what you mean. But then again, in a lot of sports, there's not like an established GOAT. I mean, I guess in swimming, it's Phelps. In sprinting, it's Usain Bolt. Basketball, it's LeBron. Soccer, it's Wayne Rooney. Baseball, it's Babe Ruth. Baseball, it's Ted Williams and Babe Ruth. That's why we need Patty versus Conor. I would love to see that fight. I actually think Patty might beat him up on the ground, though. Thank you for the $2, but I could see McGregor knocking him out. Wayne Rooney. Yeah, Wayne Rooney is the GOAT of soccer, no? Rooney. And then David Beckham is like number 2, right? All time, number 2. And then I believe that guy Howard, the goalie for the U.S. is number 3, Howard. And I think number 4 is Suarez. Number 4 is Suarez. Shohei Ohtani versus Tatsuro Taira, who wins? I actually think that'd be a good fight. Ohtani's pretty big. Ohtani's like 6'4". He's probably well over 200 pounds, and he's very strong. So I don't know. It'd be a close fight, but I might have to go with the extremely skilled, lifelong martial artist, Tatsuro Taira. Bro said Wayne Rooney's the GOAT. All right, maybe he's not the GOAT. Maybe Messi and Pele are the GOATs. But I'd probably put Wayne Rooney at my number 3 spot. I'm joking, dude. Howard is not 3. I'm joking, bro. Top 3 basketball players ever. Probably LeBron. Number 2, I would say... Who's that guy that used to pass the ball a lot? John Stockton, I would put at number 2. I'd probably put Kobe at 3. I'm going to have to go with Carmelo Anthony at 4 and probably Jordan at 5. I'm going to put Jordan and Amari Stoudemire. Amari Stoudemire. Dude, Amari Stoudemire, I'm going to put him at the 6th spot. Yeah, but I got Stockton at 2, man. This is the thing about Stockton. Stockton's like the Volk of basketball. He's like the guy that doesn't get a ton of KOs, but resume-wise, he's like undefeated, you know? Resume, no one's ever dog-walked John Stockton. You know what I mean? When John Stockton didn't score 30 points, it was because it was statistically permissible because he was a passing guy. He was a passing guy. You know, he was the guy that lays the bunt down the line. Baseball GOAT, I'm going to have to go with Brett Gardner. You think fighters, Yuri, middleweight, etc., are still ignorant about the divisional skill gap? Also, Dana rates Jones's Gane win higher than Islam's Volk win. Insanity. Thank you for the 1-month membership, Dafiq. Thank you for the 1-month membership. I appreciate that. Do I think that fighters like Yuri at middleweight are still ignorant about the divisional skill gap? Wait, what do you mean? Do you think, why do you say Yuri middleweight, etc.? Okay. Also, Dana rates his Jones's Gane win higher than Islam's Volk win. Yeah, well, that's just because he's trying to hype up a Jones fight. That's not based on anything other than that. Dana's not rating it for any other reason than that. So, yes, I think that the divisional skill gap is a real thing. And also, Yuri Prochazka moving down to middleweight is not just a skill thing. I think that Yuri Prochazka could actually do really well at middleweight skill-wise in certain matchups. Like, I think Yuri Prochazka, if he was as durable as he is at light heavyweight, I think he could actually potentially beat Sean Strickland. It's a striking battle. Strickland's defense is amazing. Strickland is not a guy that snowballs with offensive output, right? And so he's pretty tame with his output. I think Yuri Prochazka could potentially cannonball himself into KOing Sean Strickland. Like, just eventually KOing Sean Strickland just by... Yuri Prochazka would throw 100 spinning elbows on the guard of Sean Strickland until he lands one. Okay? That's what I'm saying. Just because of his style, he would miss most of his strikes. He would just bully his way into it eventually. But the issue with Yuri moving to middleweight, in my opinion, isn't even a big skill thing, even though I think skill-wise he would get beat by Duplessis and other fighters. It's a durability thing. Yuri Prochazka relies on his toughness. He relies on his ability to take a punch. And I don't think it's smart for him to add a harsh weight cut to the equation because he doesn't have a hard time making 205. but a 20-pound weight cut is now going to be a difficult weight cut. He may not have the same toughness, and he kind of needs that same toughness. So yeah, he could get rocked by Sean Strickland. Like Sean Strickland could be skilled enough to put a 1-2 on him and rock him, not finish him, I don't think, but rock him. I actually think Strickland is like the easiest matchup for Yuri Praska in the top 5. He's very chin dependent. Exactly. He doesn't need to be cutting extra. Very true. Can you beat Molly McCann in a street fight? Yes. Yes, I can. Jordan humped Stockton. Did he actually? Thank you for the $2. I didn't know about that. What do you think of Gaethje versus Volk? I like the fight. I mean, I much rather Volkanovski fight Justin Gaethje or Dustin Poirier at 155 than fight Ilia Topuria at 145. Listen, I don't think it's the fight that I would choose. I want Volkanovski to fight Aldo. I want Volkanovski to go the Kamaru Usman middleweight route, fight people like Brendan Allen, which means for him it would be a Bryce Mitchell, even a Lerone Murphy. I don't want Volkanovski to fight any power punchers just because I don't want to see him get KO'd, but I prefer him fighting Gaethje than Ilia Topuria. I much prefer him fighting Gaethje. I actually think Volkanovski beats Gaethje. I know that people are going to say that I'm glazing. I know people are going to say, dude, he gets his head kicked off of his shoulders. And he might. But after seeing what Holloway did to Gaethje, I know it's a different stylistic matchup. I think that Gaethje is too predictable. And I think that this version of Justin Gaethje is more reserved. And when he's predictable, I actually think that Volkanovski doesn't get KO'd. He wins that easily. I like that fight for Volk. And I think he could take Gaethje down, and I think he could destroy him on the ground too. Lucas, when are we going to get a back reveal? A back reveal? I don't know. Like a back double bicep? I don't know. Maybe in like a fitness vlog, if I make a fitness vlog. Thank you for the $2. Flipper Boys. Which 45ers could beat which 70-pounders? None. Oh, 70-pounders? Like unranked, old head, washed up 70-pounders. You could have Ilia Topuria beat the oldest, most washed up version of a 170-pounder. Like you got to go with the worst welterweights and have Ilia Topuria bloat max and he beats them. Right? Holloway, okay. Is it crazy to say that Max Holloway could beat a guy at welterweight? Holloway bulked up to 155 and looked just as big as Justin Gaethje. I could see Max Holloway, that version, beating welterweights. It's not crazy to say that. I don't think he beats the top 5 welterweights, but if he's beating Justin Gaethje and he's not looking like a pipsqueak and he's actually as big as Gaethje, he could literally beat a couple of welterweights. Not the best ones, obviously not, but like fucking Nico Price, of course. Alex Morano? Dude, Max Holloway destroys Alex Morano. Volkanovski destroys Nico Price. Maybe Magny? I actually think Magny is a bit tricky because he could frame Mog them, but still. He beats Holland? Maybe. But I could see it. Dude, he beats Holland. You're right. You're right. He beats Holland. Weight classes, man. Yeah, I knew someone was going to say this. Bro, weight class. Dude, Nico Price is built like a dodo bird. Alex Morano is built like a small Marcin Tybura. Okay? Those guys should be not Nico, but Alex Morano should be fighting at 155. Okay? Like, Holloway would look leaner at 170 than Alex Morano. So I know weight. That's why I'm not saying he beats JDM or he beats Shavkat or he beats, MVP or whatever. But yeah. Wonderboy versus Buckley. You know what? I think Buckley might win with the momentum. I think Buckley wins with the momentum by taking him down. Buckley's grappling is really solid. His wrestling is good. His ground and pound is excellent. I think Buckley might win. I want Wonderboy to have a striking matchup. I said that he should fight MVP. I understand they're friends. Maybe it's not going to happen, but why not Wonderboy versus Gary? Actually, fuck that. It'd be a similar matchup to the MVP fight. He'd just grapple. Wonderboy versus we already saw Kevin Holland. Who's going to strike with Wonderboy? Who's the next best striker that's around Wonderboy's ranking spot? At 170. We've seen the Gilbert Burns fight. Very close. Gary, Brady, Thompson. Oh, yeah, Stevens at number 9. Luque we've seen. Page we've seen. Honestly, there's not even a great Wonderboy fight. I honestly don't even care if Wonderboy fights again, to be honest. Just because the matchup that he would have would be against a grappler. I guess Joaquin Buckley is actually the best matchup. But we're not going to see any Wonderboy stand-up fights again, unfortunately. But Joaquin Buckley is probably the best one. Jeff Neal, we've already seen. We've already seen that. He 50-45 them. Fluffy or Pereira? You know, Pereira is much more dangerous at middleweight, and Pereira is one of the best first-round fighters, most dangerous first-round fighters with crazy body shot power. And we know that Fluffy's been TKO'd with a body shot before by Kevin Holland. I could see him knocking out Hernandez. That's the type of style that you need to beat Hernandez. You gotta have crazy power. You have to be massive for the division. You got to be fast. You have to have good body shots. I could see him beating Hernandez, but I'm picking Hernandez because I think Hernandez is tough enough to survive the early going. He's insanely tough and durable, and I think that he could survive, and I think it's more likely that he survives, and I have him destroying Pereira second and third round, subbing him, or TKOing him on the ground. Pereira's going to smoke your dark horse. He could. I don't think it's not a competitive fight. That's what I'm saying. It's like, it's a competitive fight. Pereira at middleweight is a monster. Holland folded him inside of a minute. True, in 2020, 4 years ago. Fluffy's overrated, man. Hermanson smokes him. Maybe. We'll see. Just because you got beat 4 years ago doesn't mean you're just trash. Max Holloway, no one thought he was special when he lost to McGregor back in the day. I know McGregor, did well, but Holloway lost to someone else outside of McGregor. He became Max Holloway. I'm not saying Anthony Hernandez becomes Max Holloway. I'm just saying he got beat by Kevin Holland in 2020 when Holland was at his best. 2020 Holland was actually good. He was taking his career serious. He was faster. He was hungrier. He was knocking people out. Destroyed Joaquin Buckley. Was piecing people up. Holland in 2020 was actually really good. Doesn't mean he's trash, but it means Pereira has a perfect style to beat him. It does mean that Pereira has a good style to beat him, I will admit. Yes, that is true. That's why I think he could win. I don't think... I'm just going to pick Hernandez because I tend to go with the fighters that have a better style to win if it goes to decision or if it goes past one round. And I think Hernandez is a lot better than Mikhail Oleksiejczuk. And also, Roman Kopylov slammed body kicks. I said that the body shots were going to be a problem for Hernandez because of the Kevin Holland fight, and he took him well and didn't really affect him that much. He was making faces at Roman Kopylov. I think Pereira might be a better finisher, but still. Yeah, it's a close fight. It's actually one of the best fights this year. Those are the best middleweight fights. Okay, fine. Sometimes a title fight can be good, but then again, we have like number one contenders fights like Strickland versus Costa that end up sucking. Those are actually the best middleweight fights in my opinion. The Hernandez-Kopylov fights, the Hernandez-Pereira fights, like a Joe Pyfer versus Bo Nichols style of fight. The middleweight prospect fights are the best fights at middleweight. They're the ones I get most hyped for. Hernandez is like half Pereira's size. What the fuck? It's not close at all. Bro, you just have to watch Anthony Hernandez fight. And that's it. Just watch him fight. Watch his fights back, and you'll see why it's okay to pick him to win a fight. He is one of the most dangerous grapplers I've ever seen at middleweight. Just watch him fight. It's not, oh, he beat this guy. It's just look at his style and look at his gas tank. Look at Cain Velasquez. Cain Velasquez used to push a pace on people that were bigger than him, stronger than him, and he looked like a deflated balloon. Fluffy is amazing on the ground. He's got submissions. He's got ground and pound. He's got insane cardio, dude. He's got the Colby Covington style, but he finishes people. Imagine if Colby TKO'd people and submitted people consistently. You would talk about him completely differently. If Colby in his career had a submission game and a ground and pound TKO game, he actually has good ground and pound, but if he was TKOing people and submitting people, people would be talking about him differently. Anthony Hernandez, I'm not doing tricks on it, bro. Oh, Fluffy Glaze is crazy, bro. I'm just saying, Colby Covington before, first off, you can't even say Colby Covington and his resume clears because it's not even that great, even though it's better. But I'm just saying, when Colby was on the come up and people were hyping him up before the RDA fight, and then he beats RDA, people were talking about Colby as a future champion. Anthony Hernandez is doing similar things, but better because he's finishing people. You glaze him because he beat Kopylov? Nope, that's not why. You can go back and watch my prediction video. You can go back and watch my reaction to the fight being announced. And you'll know that I've been hyping up Anthony Hernandez for the past year. And ever since I've had this channel, I've pretty much been hyping up Anthony Hernandez. Okay. It's not just because of the Kopylov win. Pull up Fluffy's win streak. I'll do that right now. Okay. So we lost to the GOAT Marcus Perez, who's one of the best fighters that ever walked the earth. Marcus Perez, if you guys don't know, undefeated, marauder from 1FC, real hardcore fan favorite. Okay, he lost to Marcus Perez. Not a big deal. All right, maybe that's not a great look. It doesn't matter because this is 2020 Kevin Holland, who was actually dangerous. You can't just say Kevin Holland was a bum. It's like saying Kevin Lee has always been a bum for his whole career. Okay, he was actually decent. This was young Anthony Hernandez. Jung Young Park? Bro. Are we just about to sit here and say that Jung Young Park is a bum for a 2019 win? A 2019 win. Jung Young Park submitted Jung Young Park, the Iron Turtle. The Iron Turtle's a bum? Because he just beat Andre Muniz and got robbed. Rodolfo Vieira. Subbed him. Great grappler. Excellent grappler. Subbed him. Finished him. So he submits Jung Young Park, good grappler, dangerous. Submits Rodolfo Vieira. Beats Josh Fremd. Dominates Josh Fremd. If you watch the fight with Josh Fremd, it's not just unanimous decision, it was shit. Watch the fight back. He dominated Josh Fremd. Destroyed Marc-Andre Barriou. Destroyed Edmund Shabazian. Destroyed Roman Kopylov in the second round. What is... Am I supposed to look at this and be like, damn, he sucks? Pull up Jordan Wright. Dude, that's back in the day. Anthony Hernandez, this is before he hopped on the EPO, bro. You could just say he sucks all you want. Okay, let's look up Michel Pereira's record. What are we gonna talk about in Michel Pereira's record that's that much different? Yeah, Michel Pereira beat Jack Della Maddalena. He beat MVP. He beat Wonderboy Thompson. It's very similar. He beat decent fighters outside the rankings. No elite names yet? Okay, what elite name is Michel Pereira beat? Nico Price by decision. Mikhail Alexachuk, former light heavyweight. Fat. Who has he beat? That's that good? Andre Petrosky, who literally had a fucking split decision with Alex Pereira's training partner. I forget his name, Thurman or whatever his name is. But yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, Michel Pereira has the elite wins, right? Over guys that were going to split decision with Wellington Thurman. Yeah, but he's winning in a minute. I get it. It's the style. That's like saying he's winning in a minute. Did Khabib beat people in a minute? Not necessarily. Do grapplers always beat people in a minute? Not necessarily. Is Colby Covington someone that finished people in a minute? No, but he's still a good fighter. It's a style thing. That's why I'm saying Hernandez could get finished. He could very well get finished. But if he survives, he could win. Santiago, former top 10 welterweight. Santiago the Frog Ponzinibbio. Santiago the Jim Miller of welterweight. That's a good win. But I think Anthony Hernandez beats him. We'll see. Left lane, we'll see. Left lane. We'll see. How can you call a lay and pray merchant a fighter? Bro, you have not watched an Anthony Hernandez fight if you're looking at all these finishes. 4 of the wins on screen that you're looking at right now are finishes, and you're calling him a lay and pray fighter? That's crazy. Santiago would destroy Hernandez. He very well could. Wonderboy versus Colby now. Who wins? Probably Wonderboy. Using a unisex bathroom, it has paper towels, which are greater than air dryers. Yeah, paper towels are a lot better than air dryers. Thank you for the $5. I appreciate that. Blobbed up Islam versus Pereira at 85. Who wins? Thank you for the $2, Flipper Boys. Blobbed up Islam. Oh, Pereira. Too big for him. Oh, maybe Islam, but I go with Pereira. I'll just go with Pereira. Thank you for the $2. Thank you for the $2. Take on black seed oil. I don't really know anything about it. I don't think I've ever tried it. Thank you for the $2. Sounds like one of those gimmicky health things, health trends. Take black seed oil and avocado toast in the morning, bro. You got to drink your apple cider vinegar and your black seed oil. I don't know. I actually don't know anything about it. But thank you for the $2. And thank you for the $2 super chat. NIF, I appreciate that. But anyway, guys, let's check out the Weasel's video, because we've been discussing that. Okay? So I'm actually going to pull up the Weasel's GOAT list. I'm going to react to it. I reacted to it a little bit on my members stream the other day, but I told you guys I was going to do it on a live stream like this. So let's check out the Weasel's GOAT list. This is the first time he's ever posted it, I believe. The first time he's ever posted like an official GOAT list. Maybe I'm wrong, but he just did a new one. So the Weasel, he's always talking about the GOAT conversation in his podcasts. I heard black seed oil is 13% of seed oil, but responsible for 53% of seed oil deaths. Really? I don't know. I'm just not interested in adding a bunch of... First of all, fucking seed oil? I'm good. I don't need seed oil. That's the thing you got to remember about these seeds. How many seeds do you need to grind up in order to get oil from them? It's just not natural. Oh, I get your fucking joke. I see everyone saying LMAO, and I'm like, that wasn't that funny. I get the joke. Yes. The 13% of seed oil is responsible for 53% of the seed oil crimes. I get it. Bro, I did. As soon as he said as soon as people started saying LMAO, I clicked like, wait a second. That was a statistic I've heard. Anyway. Fedor Emelianenko. Why did he choose this photo for Fedor Emelianenko, bro? Anyway,
weight classes.
So
he
let's
was the
look
number
at his,
one pound for pound fighter in the world for
list.
many years. Longevity, performances. This is ultimately what I'm going to go by. I think that does cover everything that you need to look at of someone's legacy. And yes, I'm going to include PED users. I usually don't, but it's
all right. I
like everybody does it. So whatever. I'll include for everything that you...
Level of competition is his first criteria. I think that's great criteria. Level of competition is the most important criteria. That is the most important. Weasel yaps too much? Yeah, but you kind of have to yap with a GOAT list. I mean, my video on the GOAT stuff is like 50-minute long. All right, so we got Stipe. We got Stippy. Stipe Emelianenko. And we got Fedor Emelianenko. Okay, Big Nog. Kevin Randleman, son. Dude, rest in peace, Kevin Randleman. God bless Kevin Randleman. But Kevin Randleman didn't even have a great resume. That's the thing. And I talked about it in my member stream. People will look at these Pride FC fighters, the ones that had the big roided up delts, and they look like WWE wrestlers, and they had a big slam takedown KO. And they'll just say that, yeah, he was a legend. He was probably a champion 10 times over. These guys didn't have great records. Arlovski's a good win. But that's like, let me put this in perspective. Beating Arlovski is like beating Tyron Woodley. It's a good win, former champion. Not even as good as beating Tyron Woodley, to be honest. But it's similar. Arlovski has a worse resume than Woodley by a little bit, but it's similar. And that's his best win outside of Big Nog and Crow Cop. So right off the bat, there's not like any top 15 all-time win. But all right, Mark Coleman, Tim Sylvia. Mark Hunt. Are we really saying Mark Hunt was a great win just because he knocked people out? Like, Hunt had lost most of his fights, bro. I don't think Fedor is top 10, but I understand. I get it. He's a great heavyweight. I just think that I think Dominic Cruz has a better resume. I think that Kamaru Usman has a better resume. Dude, he doesn't even have Usman on his list. Who has a better resume, Fedor or Kamaru Usman? I think Usman should have been here instead of Fedor. And DC. He doesn't have DC on the list. I think DC is a better resume than Fedor Emelianenko. I think Usman and DC have a better resume. But he's got Fedor at the 9 spot. That's probably going to be the worst thing on his list. Silva, top 10. All right. I actually don't mind Silva top 10. Like, I don't mind it. But DC, Usman are not on the list, though. That's why it's kind of crazy. But either way, Anderson Silva at the number 8 spot. I have Anderson in my top 10 still, so that's fine. Dan Henderson, good win. Vitor Belfort, good win. Forrest Griffin, okay, at the time it was a good win. Rich Franklin, Nate Marquardt, Chael Sonnen, and Damian Maia. Yeah, and he had the thing about Anderson Silva that was the most impressive is the fact that he was dominant and the fact that nobody beat him when he was in his prime. That's a good flex. If you're getting beat in your prime, that's not the best look. Nobody beat Anderson Silva in his prime. Right? It's not like, I'm trying to come up with another example other than Adesanya just because that's the example I would usually come up with. But I'm trying to think of a good example. It's like Whitaker. Whitaker losing in his prime to Adesanya is... You can't say Whitaker was the best middleweight. Overall, you can't say Whitaker cleared when he was in his prime. He was the guy because there was also other people that were doing really good work. But that wasn't the case when Anderson Silva was fighting. So... How you see Prime Fedor versus DC? I see DC outstriking him. DC at a granite chin. Probably outstrikes him. DC at heavyweight seemed even better than ever. Super fast hands. Great wrestling. Decent gas tank. I think he beats him. Mark Coleman. Yeah, definitely not Mark Coleman. But yeah, okay. I don't mind Anderson Silva at number 8. But again, he's got Fedor at 9. I'd have Usman in the top 10. He doesn't have Usman on the list. I'd have Usman in the top 10, and I'd have DC in the top 10. Holloway at 7. Whoa, wait a second. Woohoo! The Weasel coming through with a hardcore take. That's a hardcore take right there. That's a hardcore take. You know what? I wonder if this is in any way influenced by the past year of my GOAT conversations. Talking about how it's not just title wins, it's also just like who have you beat, the amount of people you've beat. You know what I mean? This is actually a hardcore take. The Weasel put Max Holloway at 7 all time. I have Holloway in my top 10. And I have Holloway at basically the same spot. I got him at the same spot. Justin Gaethje, Jose Aldo twice. Jose Aldo is a top 10 fighter, so you got that. Those are insane wins. Frankie Edgar. That's it. The thing is, even though Frankie Edgar wasn't in his prime, Frankie Edgar that fought Max, he was old. He was 38, but he was very good still. He was still very good. But he was a little older. Brian Ortega. Listen, I think that the Ortega win is pretty good. Arnold Allen, Korean Zombie, Calvin Kattar, Ricardo Lamas, Cub Swanson, Anthony Pettis. Yeah, he's got a ton of good wins. Yair Rodriguez. He didn't include Yair. He forgot Yair, but he's got Yair on there too. Another good win. We need to get Fedor out of there, man. I mean, I agree. I think that he's using nostalgia bias with Fedor Emelianenko. I don't think that Fedor is better than most people. Look at his pinned comment. Okay, let me check it out. Having Max over DC and Usman is mental illness. I don't care. Actually, you're wrong, Kenny. I'm sorry, but Max Holloway has a better resume than Kamaru Usman. It's not just about title wins, title reign. Holloway, like Usman, was a champ, defended his belt 3 times. Not as much as Usman, but listen, Kenny, this is just a fact, whether you like it or not. Beating Jose Aldo twice shits all over beating Colby Covington twice. It just does. Beating Jose Aldo, Kenny, when it comes to the GOAT conversation, it's about level of competition. And if Jose Aldo is a top 10 all-time fighter, then that is objectively something that is going to catapult you. If you beat someone that has a top 10 resume all time, that catapults you resume-wise. Usman's best all-time win is Woodley. Based on resume, Woodley was a good champion. That doesn't compare to beating Aldo once. You know what I mean? Aldo is a top 10 fighter ever. Woodley, where's Woodley? Top 40? You know what I mean? Usman, listen, you could say, okay, Usman had more title wins, but beating Justin Gaethje is even better than beating Gilbert Burns. And then the thing is, once you get past the Gilbert Burns, Colby Covington, Jorge Masvidal, you're going to have to go to who? Emil Meek? RDA? Okay, fair enough. But look, Arnold Allen, Korean Zombie, Calvin Kattar, Anthony Pettis, former champion, Cub Swanson, Yair Rodriguez, Frankie Edgar. Max Holloway has a better resume. The only argument for Usman is that he's lost less. He's lost less. That's the argument. Usman's only lost to Leon Edwards. That's it. But he also beat Leon Edwards. Actually, you know what? I forgot about that. Usman did beat Leon Edwards. You know what? Usman's best win all time might actually be Leon Edwards, now that I think about it. Even though that version of Leon wasn't in his prime, you can't say Usman was either. I think it's funny when people look at like the Usman Leon #1 fight and the Usman Strickland fight, and they'll be like, yeah, but Strickland wasn't in his prime. Neither was Usman. Neither was Kamaru. Those are good wins. Those are good wins. It's close. Listen, I have Usman like right where Max is. I think they're, to be honest, I think they're neck and neck. I think they're very close. But I don't think it's mental illness to put Holloway higher than Usman. I think they're very close. But I think, you know what? Now that I forgot about the Leon fight, because that aged well, even though Usman lost twice to him. Now that I forgot about that, yeah, it's actually very close. Look at his pinned comment. Okay. I usually don't include PED users, but I did for this just to show where they would be. Exclude them, and that's what non-PED GOAT lists look like. Probably add in Cormier and Izzy at... Oh, my goodness! He said, I would include Cormier and Izzy if we didn't have PED users. Are you kidding me? Dude. Bro, Alex Pereira's resume already clears. What about Pereira? What about Dominic Cruz? Come on, man. Come on, bro. Like, yo, whoa. Come on, bro. Come on, bro. When is Shamil the Big Seal Ghaziev's next fight? On the Abu Dhabi card. Next August. First fight night of August. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you for the $5. Small corrections. I forgot to include Rob Font win over Aldo. For Aldo, yeah, I mean, again, that's a great win for Aldo. It's a good win for him. And the Yair win for Holloway. He forgot to include the Yair win for Holloway. Doesn't change their placements. Yeah. Anyway, let's continue the list. Izzy is not top 10, dude. I'm sorry. Not even if you discard the PED users. You know what? I will say this. If you discard the PED users, then maybe he's top 15. But that's like 3 people that you got to get out of the top 15. Number 6, yeah. There we go. Yeah. Top 6 is Volk. You know what? I'm not even that upset. Like, I think Volkanovski is arguably the second best fighter ever. I think Volk is arguably number 2, number 3 all time. That's a different convo for a different day. But I do like how he's not 7. 6 is so much better than 7. If Volk was at 7, that would be way too many people ahead of him. I am a little bit worried now that I think about it. Who is ahead of Volk? I know he's going to put Aldo ahead of Volk. This might mean that Khabib is ahead of Volk, though. And if that means that Khabib is ahead of Volk, what I'm going to say right now is, why? Okay, Holloway 3 times. Beating Max Holloway once is better than Dustin Poirier. Beating Max Holloway twice is better than Justin Gaethje. And beating him the 3rd time is better than Conor McGregor. So now we have to compare RDA to Brian Ortega, Yair Rodriguez, and Jose Aldo. Jose Aldo clears RDA. Okay. What's Khabib's next best win? Is it better than Chad Mendes? Is Michael Johnson better than Mendes? No. Is Ally Quinta better than Ortega? No. Come on. Volkanovski has a better resume, and he lost when it was statistically permissible to lose. Right? But it's good that he has him in the top 6. Anything lower, I'd have to rant. But it's, the Weasel, this is a hardcore take. I think a real hardcore take would be top 5, but this is a good take.
The first fight was an obvious win for Volk, although it was kind of competitive. The second fight, he nearly lost. He had to...
Dude, I watched the second fight back. Watched the 3rd round, 4th and 5th in Volkanovski versus Max Holloway 2. Some people are going to discard this, and they'll just say, no, keep coping. No. They'll say, robbery. Watch the last 3 rounds of Volkanovski and Max Holloway 2. They're not that controversial. The 3rd round is clear. Competitive early. Volk easily wins the last minute and a half of that round and outpoints Max Holloway throughout the whole round if you add in what he did at the end. He lost the 2nd. I'm talking about the 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Volk clearly won those rounds. It's a good win for Volk.
Resort to wrestling in order to turn the tides of that fight. Then in the 3rd one, Volk showed...
He didn't even need to resort to wrestling in order to change the tide. He outstruck Max Holloway. Volk got Max down and kept him down for a second at Max every single time. No pun intended. It was the striking. He outstruck him in the last 3 rounds. You're the losses matter guy, don't forget. Very true. And that's why, yes, losing to Ilia Topuria matters. Losing to Ilia matters. But Volkanovski, his wins are so good, and his losses, one of them is so acceptable that it's not even that bad of a look. Losing to Islam Makhachev the first time, I don't even care that much. His real losses are to Makhachev the first time, and they're to Ilia the first time. Those are bad, but I still think he's done more than Khabib. It's not just about doing more. I think overall ratio, obviously Khabib has the best ratio, but I think that Volkanovski's strength of wins and dominance, having only lost 7 rounds in his entire career, puts him past Khabib. Khabib's claim is ratio dominance. Volkanovski had dominance and insane wins and good ratio. I don't think it's all ratio. I think when you add them all together, Volk is better than Khabib. Who's at number 5? Khabib, of course. Ally Quinta, Gleason Tibau. Dude, Gleason Tibau is not a good win because Khabib hardly beat him. There was an argument that he lost. Either way, are we really going to rate a Gleason Tibau win? Listen, again, Khabib's thing is undefeated. I think that a lot of people these days underrate Khabib's resume. He was undefeated, never lost. That's very good. Volk is higher than Khabib because Volk's ratio of wins to losses is still excellent. His dominance, up there with Khabib, 7 rounds lost in his whole career. And his best wins are so much better than Khabib's best wins. Poirier is the best win Khabib has. It's not as good as beating Aldo. I'm sorry. Aldo was 32 when Volk beat him. Usman literally had a corrupt pharmacist dad. Thank you for the $2. Yeah. I don't know what that has to do with the GOAT list, but unless you're calling him out for PEDs. Listen, I think Khabib's top 10. There's no doubt about it. I think Khabib's top 10, but I think I have Volk higher. Aldo, I'm sorry. I know the Weasel loves Jose Aldo. I know that Aldo is one of the GOATs. I know that he's top 10. He is not higher than Volk. It's just, you can't put him higher than Volk. I'm sorry. Aldo lost to Max Holloway the first time How old was Holloway when he lost to Holloway the first time, guys? How old was Holloway when he lost the first time to Aldo? Who was coming off of a win, by the way. Aldo was coming off of a TKO win. Or a win over Edgar. How old was he? Someone remind me. Because I know. I'm just seeing if you guys know. Thank you for the $2. No way Kenny got Usman above Volk. I mean, Usman's just not above Volk. 31. Aldo was 31 years old when he lost to Holloway the first time. 31 when he lost the second time, or 32 when he lost the second time. 33 when he lost to Volk. 2 years away from the magical 35 age that everyone talks about. He lost to Holloway at the age of 31 when he was coming off of a win. Wasn't the fight after Conor McGregor. It was a fight after the fight after Conor McGregor. He lost to Volkanovski coming off of a 2-fight TKO streak against Jeremy Stevens and Renato Moicano. If you're losing to the other contenders in GOAT conversation, I'm sorry, it's a tough argument to put him ahead of both of them, especially when one of them beat you. Volkanovski beat him, but he also beat Max 3 times, and Max beat Aldo twice. So Max consumes Aldo a little bit when he beats him twice, and that's really good for his resume. And Volk consumes Max when he beats him and consumes his resume. It's not just about who you beat. I understand that, for example, like Holloway lost to some random back in the day. Just because that guy beat Max doesn't give him the resume. I understand you have to look at other things that they've done in their career, but I just can't have Aldo ahead. Now, I understand this is not even the featherweight GOAT conversation. Aldo is a bunch of good bantamweight wins, a bunch of good ones. But that's not necessarily enough. Paige Van Zandt GOAT list is better than this. I wonder what Paige Van Zandt's GOAT list is. I mean, it can't be that bad. Listen, this isn't a terrible list. This is actually a decent list. I actually think this is a decent list. The only thing that I have a problem with is Fedor being top 10. I don't think Fedor is top 10. I think Khabib's top 10. I think Aldo is top 10. I just have an issue with the placements, but at least they're all close to each other. Like, at least Aldo and Volk are 2 spots apart. But I think the argument for Aldo above Volk is weak, and I think most of you would agree with that. I think that I make sense. I'm not just saying it because I'm biased. I think I can make a good argument for it. Let's hear his argument. I think the list is good. I'm by no means saying that this is a bad list. Like, I don't think it's a horrible take to have Khabib at 5. I think that right now, I think you got to slide him down a bit. You know what? Islam Makhachev has a better resume than Fedor Emelianenko. Islam Makhachev has a better resume than Fedor Emelianenko. This is the thing about Fedor. Islam Makhachev has beat Dustin Poirier, Volkanovski twice, Charles Oliveira. And then you want to talk about Fedor's good wins over Kevin Randleman? Kevin Randleman is like the same thing as beating, I don't know, Drew Dober. You get what I'm saying? Dan Hooker. I think those guys arguably have a better resume than Kevin Randleman. So Makhachev beat Drew Dober, Dan Hooker, Bobby Green. Not elite fighters, but good fighters. Good fighters. They're not cans. Then he beats Charles Oliveira, sitting champion on a crazy win streak. Then he beats Dustin Poirier. He beats Volkanovski twice. And the ratio, we're talking about Khabib's ratio of wins to losses, how it's so impressive. Islam Makhachev has what? 15 wins? He's 15-1? And we're talking about Fedor Emelianenko because he beat Andrei Arlovsky. But Makhachev beat a top 5 fighter in Volkanovski twice. And he beat Charles Oliveira, who's a top 25 fighter, arguably. There's no argument for Fedor being top 10. I'm sorry. It's just pure nostalgia bias. That's all it is. Islam Makhachev, since he beat Dustin Poirier, has totally cleared Fedor. Okay? He has. Am I wrong? Usman has cleared Fedor. Listen, I think Fedor's arguably top 15. I'm sorry, you can't put him top 10. And if the Weasel watches this, he agrees. You know you agree, Weasel. You know you agree with me. Straight up. I'm not wrong. This is the thing. Like, why are we not including Makhachev in the... Am I the only one that's going crazy? Makhachev has done a lot in his career. He's 15-1. That's like, we talk about Holloway beating Aldo twice. He beat Volk twice. And he was the first guy to beat Volkanovski. And then Volk's second loss was to him as well. And he also beat Oliveira, the sitting champion. And he beat Dustin Poirier, who's someone that Khabib beat too. And we're not even putting Makhachev in the top 10. It doesn't have to be top 10, but my goodness, he's one of the GOATs. And he's definitely better than Fedor. I have him in top 10. Lucas stays up at night thinking about the GOAT list. It's just like, I just don't understand it. You're telling me Fedor's resume is better than Makhachev's? Big Nog? Replace this with Volk twice. Replace Mirko with Charles Oliveira. Replace Kevin Randleman with Drew Dober. Replace Andrei Arlovsky with Charles Oliveira. Come on. Replace Coleman with Dustin Poirier. Come on. It's not even a fucking competition. And Fedor lost in his mid-30s as a heavyweight. When you're in your mid-30s, you're not done. He lost in his mid-30s 3 times in a row by KO. Makhachev's lost once when he was a rookie. Losing once when you're a rookie is worse than getting KO'd 3 times in your mid-30s as a heavyweight. That's it. We'll get on from there. I go crazy for Makhachev out of love. Thank you for the $2. I mean, Makhachev is underrated. Straight up. Islam is the GOAT in 1.5. He's very well capable of becoming the 3 more wins. If he beats Arman, which is necessary. I don't want to see him move up right now. If he beats Arman, he would be passing Khabib with title defenses in the modern era. You know how hard it is to pass people with title defenses in the modern era, especially in the lightweight division. He passes Khabib, 4 title wins, and then he moves up. He beats Leon Edwards and Shavkat. If he gets 2 title wins in a second weight class and defends, he's the GOAT of the sport. He would have Volkanovski, who's a top 10 all-time fighter. He would have Leon Edwards, who's... If Leon wins again, if Leon beats Bilal, he's top 20 all-time. Right? And he beat Usman twice. If Leon beats Bilal, he's arguably top 15. If he beats Leon, that's another top 15 all-time fighter. And he beats Shavkat, that's an insanely good win. He beats Arman, that's an insanely good title defense. Makhachev is a... How are we not talking about Makhachev as a top 10 all-time fighter right now, is my question. But anyway, let's get back. I know it might be annoying that I'm not listening to his, but let's actually listen to his take on Aldo.
Year unbeaten streak. His numbers are rivaling the absolute best fighters in the world.
So Aldo, a big part of Aldo's hype is that he went undefeated, and sort of like Anderson Silva, when he was the man, there was no one contesting him. The issue with that is that when Anderson Silva lost, Anderson was 38. When Jose Aldo lost, he was 29 against McGregor. He was 31 against Max. He was 33 against Volk. It's different.
Go with that is his competition.
And this is the thing. It's not just that he lost at a young age. It's that he lost to people that also became really good. Like Holloway built his own resume and beat Aldo. Volk built his own resume and beat Aldo. It's very rare that you have the GOAT of a division fight the next generation's GOATs when he's in his prime. We don't see Anderson Silva fighting Adesanya in their prime, right? We don't see Khabib fighting, I don't know, Benson Henderson in his prime. You get my point.
That he beat. Prime Chad Mendes. Prime Frankie Edgar twice. Prime Uriah Faber.
Those are good wins. Those are great wins.
Prime Mike Brown. Snapping Mike Brown's 10 wins.
Mike Brown, dude. Listen, at the time it was a good win. If he was on a 10-fight win streak, that's a good win.
Streak. Winning the WEC World Champion against him. And even beat fighters like Cub Swanson, knocking him out in 8 seconds with a double flying knee. Korean Zombie. Ricardo Lamas. Hinata Moicano. Jeremy Steven.
No way! Dude, I just recognized this. Manny Gamburian? You know you're freaking grasping at straws when you're putting Manny Gamburian on your good wins list. Has anyone... Dude, I'm not even going to pretend like I even know who that guy is. I'm not even going to pretend that I know who that is. You can call me a casual. I don't know who the fuck Manny Gamburian is, dude. All right? I know everyone else. I don't know Manny. Who? Exactly. If you know Manny, then you're probably watching in 2009. I started watching 2017. Like, I don't know who the fuck that is, dude. Casual, man. He was a monster, bruh. That's the GOAT, man. Aldo is 7. Khabib, Volk, and Holloway move 1 up each. Islam at 8. Silva 9. Fedor, get the fuck out. Kamaru 10. Yeah, I mean, like, Islam is a top 10 fighter of all time, bro. Manny Gamburian has a 15-10 record. Dude, how is that a good win? I guess maybe that was like the Dan Hooker of 2008. That's like the Dan Hooker, the Bobby Green of 2008. Maybe it was a good win at the time, but still, like, has it aged well? I swear that's literally a NPC created fighter.
Even going down to the bantamweight division and beating Chito
The bantamweight division is what saved Aldo's GOAT status. The bantamweight division, Aldo was falling off a bit. Yeah, he lost to Jan, but I actually think he beat Marlon Moraes. I think that was a robbery. And he beat Rob Font. He beat Pedro Munoz. Pedro's not a great fighter, but he's a tough out. Got to give him respect. Aldo was moving down into a tough weight class, an even tougher weight class. And he also beat Marlon Vera. And beat Martinez. Dude, what's shocking to me is that he doesn't even have Jonathan Martinez on the list of good wins. You could get rid of Kenny Florian and Manny Gamber and put Jonathan Martinez in there.
Pedro Munoz, Rob Font, and arguably should have won the fight against Marlon Moraes, who at the time was the scariest bantamweight in the world. UFC, if you count
Mighty Mouse, okay.
1 championship, then he has 14 title wins.
I think that Mighty Mouse is overrated, guys. It doesn't mean Mighty Mouse isn't one of the best ever. Doesn't mean he's not top 5. His ratio of wins to losses is insane. He's only lost twice. Actually, he's lost 4 times. He lost to a nobody, lost to Dominic Cruz, lost to Henry Cejudo, and lost to someone in 1FC. But he has 6 wins for every loss. So Mighty Mouse is good. But none of these wins even compares to beating Aldo. None of these wins compares to beating Max. None of these wins compared to beating Oliveira. Beating Oliveira is better than beating Henry Cejudo, I think. I think that Henry Cejudo is an overrated resume. I think that Figueiredo has a better resume than Henry Cejudo. I think Davidson Figueiredo has a better resume than Henry Cejudo. Well, actually, I take that back. I don't know. Henry's been on a loss streak, though. Well, I guess what I'm saying is I think Figueiredo's a better flyweight. Maybe not a better resume as a whole, but a better flyweight resume. Part of Cejudo's resume is moving up to bantamweight, beating Marlon Moraes and beating Dominic Cruz. The Dominic Cruz fight, I'm sorry, it's a good win on paper. It's not a good win in reality. Dominic Cruz was coming off of the couch, 1 week notice. Pillow hands Cruz, older. That's even worse than Volkanovski coming off of the couch to fight Makhachev. I think that flyweight rise, I actually think Davidson clears. He's beaten Pantoja, who's the sitting champion who's defended his belt multiple times, and Pantoja beat Moreno 3 times. He beat Moreno, right? Lost to Moreno, but he still beat Moreno. He's got a win over Perez. He's got wins over Joseph Benavidez. I know I'm flexing in Joseph Benavidez fight. Like, it's, Benavidez was old, but still. Islam beat Arman already, too. I forgot about that, but you're right. He did beat Arman already as well. Makhachev's resume is so underrated. He is a top 10 fighter of all time. I don't care what anyone says. He's top 10 all time. 15-1. Wins over Arman already. Dude. If he beats him again, he's like... Makhachev, 1 more win is top 5. I don't give a fuck. He's top 5, 1 more win. If Alex beats Ankalaev, Tom, and Jones, yes, I'd put him at number 1. Alex beating those 3 is like Makhachev moving up, defending twice too. Yeah. Pereira's path is harder, though. I think he beats Ankalaev. I don't know if he beats Aspinall. And he'll never fight Jones. He wouldn't have to fight Jones to be number 1. If he just beats Ankalaev and Tom, being a 3-division champion is enough, especially when his ratio would be 11-1. 11-1, 3-division champ. That's another former champion in Tom Aspinall? Yeah. Makhachev has a better resume than Khabib. You know what? He does. I think he does. I think he's top 10. I think he's past Khabib. Forget about the Arman one. Problem with Mighty Mouse is the eye test wise, he's like number one. Yeah. Mighty Mouse's dominance and skill is really what carries him in the conversation, aside from the quantity of wins. It's that, we respect his skill set so much and we know how good he is, so that we're like, oh, he's pound for pound number one, so he's got to be top 3. He's like the number 1 ranked GOAT. Resume list, he's 5-7 with the bums he's fought. Yeah, exactly. Resume wise, I don't think he's got a better resume than Volk, but I think there's a conversation with them. Dude, Makhachev may have even passed Volk, bro. I really am tempted to do a whole new GOAT list. I'm really tempted to do a whole new GOAT list, but I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait a little bit. I'm going to wait for Adesanya and Duplessis to fight, because if Adesanya wins, then I'm going to put him back on my list. And who else do we have? If Leon beats Bilal, I might put him in my top 15. I'm going to wait for Leon and Bilal and Adesanya and DDP, but I'm going to do a new GOAT list soon. Lucas, I'm impressed you know who Benson Henderson is, considering you're a casual with the 2010s fighters. Of course I know Benson Henderson. He had 4 title wins. He was the OG calf kicker, Benson Henderson. He was the OG California kid. No, I'm joking. But he was obviously one of the best lightweights. Who was higher, Adesanya or Poatan? Poatan. A little bit. Mighty loss to Cejudo was probably fixed for the trade. Yeah, true. It actually could have gone either way. So you can kind of look at that loss and say, yeah, literally. Mighty Mouse losing to Cejudo is the equivalent of Strickland losing to DDP. It could have gone either way. Now, that doesn't mean Cejudo didn't win, though. I don't think it was clear enough for DJ to where you can just call it a robbery. Like, if you give DJ credit, you give Cejudo credit. It was one of those fights that was honestly incredibly close. Wouldn't Alex being number 1 make MMA as a sport a joke? Dude. This is what I'm going to say. Okay? Alex Pereira is in a weak division. The heavier weight classes have always been weak. Yes, there's no Daniel Cormier there. That's an incredibly high-level grappler that can finish people on the ground. Fair enough. And that's not a good look on MMA. But I still think the light heavyweight division is arguably as good as it's ever been, with people like Ankalaev, people like Jan Blachowicz, people like Yuri Prohaska. And I think that Pereira is making these guys look like bums. Like, he's showing tremendous skill gaps. If you took Pereira out of the equation, all of these guys would be having competitive fights with each other. Every single one would be it. Yuri would be competitive with the top guys. Jamal Hill would be competitive. We'd be talking about Jamal Hill as one of the better strikers in that division. It's after the fact that Alex beats these guys and makes them look like such bums that people say, they were kind of trash to begin with. Now, let's address the grappling. I understand that Alex Pereira hasn't been doing grappling for that long. Pereira won a tournament in jiu-jitsu before he ever got to the UFC. I'm talking like 5+ years ago. He won a tournament against higher ranked belts than him in like a big tournament. And when people take him down, he literally just physicalities his way into being safe at the end of the round. Like, his grappling isn't high level, but who's a high level grappler that's going to be able to expose him? Who is the guy? Who is the high level grappler that he's fought that should have dominated him on the ground? Jan Blachowicz? Jan Blachowicz did dominate him on the ground. Jan Blachowicz did shoot the takedowns that were necessary, and he still lost. It's not that Alex Pereira is the most well-rounded pound-for-pound number 1 fighter you've ever seen. He's not Makhachev, but his grappling is good enough to survive with the people that he's fighting. Yuri took him down and didn't have any success. People are talking about it like Jamal Hill should have totally dismantled him on the ground, but Jamal Hill is a striker. That's what he does. That's like expecting Justin Gaethje to go out there and ragdoll people that are outstriking him. It's just not what's going to happen, especially if you take into account that the light heavyweight division is not that good. I do think that it is a bad look for the upper weight classes to have such weak talent. There's like 5 good guys in each division. And yes, I understand that DC is someone that could have ragdolled Pereira maybe, but Very few fighters in light heavyweight history would have been able to beat Alex Pereira. I think that you also have to recognize that he's a fast learner. He's an amazing athlete. He picks things up easily. And his physicality, his frame allows him to get by, allows him to not be as skilled as other fighters because he's strong enough to fend off submissions and trap people's wrists and whatnot. But this idea, like, Ankalaev is going to shoot takedowns and he'll easily win. Like, that, Pereira's shown us that he's not getting easily beat on the ground. And Ankalaev is only slightly more dangerous than Jan Blachowicz on the ground. Like, he's not finishing people, Ankalaev. I understand. This is where I would get a lot of the criticism. Like, if Daniel Cormier fought Alex Pereira and didn't shoot any takedowns, then I would say, okay, this is kind of a joke. Or if Daniel Cormier shot one takedown and never went to it again, I'd be like, all right, that's pathetic. But he's not fought a DC. He's not fought a Tom Aspinall. He's not fought a Jilton Almeida. Ankalaev is going to be the best grappler he's ever fought. And who has Ankalaev finished on the ground other than Anthony Smith with ground and pound? No submissions, Ankalaev, who's actually someone that strikes more than he grapples. You got to take into account that the divisions don't even have the grapplers that you think are capable of finishing him. And you also have to take into account that Pereira is just built different with his athleticism. He's just tough to out-grapple. He's tough to submit. He's tough to beat up on the ground. He's just good. Like, he's just... Listen, Jan Blachowicz finishes a lot of people. Or, I'm sorry, Yuri Prohaska could do a lot more damage to other guys if he takes them down. Wasn't able to do it to Pereira because Pereira's got those freaking oven mitts for hands. I'm not saying Pereira's a good grappler. I'm just saying I think that he just picks things up easily, and his physicality and strength frame allows him to survive certain positions. And there aren't the grapplers that you would expect to finish him in his division. They don't exist. There's only one guy. And Rakic. There's two. There's Rakic, and there is, what's his name? Ankalaev. But what you'll find, again, is that these guys are good grapplers. They might not be good enough to finish him. Pereira is good enough to survive. And on the feet, he's getting more confident, and his striking is that good. You know? It's like McGregor. It's like, well, why aren't we calling the sport a joke? Why aren't we calling the sport a joke? McGregor's knocking these guys out. Why aren't they taking him down? They're trying. They're not good enough to do it. They're not good enough to... Look, Mendes tried. We could have said, well, McGregor's not been doing wrestling his whole life like Mendes. Mendes took him down, beat him up, and guess what? Still couldn't finish him, and McGregor knocked his ass out. It's not like, oh, MMA's a joke if the grapplers can't always win. The problem is, like MMA Guru talks about how people don't shoot enough takedowns. And I get that. I think that people might have to mix them up more. I get that. But even if they do, I still think that the people that Pereira has beat, I still think he would beat them even if they mixed it up more. Jan Blachowicz mixed it up as best as possible and still lost. And Pereira's way better than he was then. Maybe not way better, but I think he's gotten better than he was then, because that was his first fight at light heavyweight at altitude. So yeah. And I think Jan is a more dangerous grappler than Yuri. Shamil has a 12-0 on his Insta when he lost to Rosenstrike. What an L. Yeah, he still hasn't changed it. Thank you for the $17.99. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you for the Dono Mercader. Thank you for the $5. Kenny Okoye. Yes, Lucas and Volk. 2 times Prime Oliveira, Prime Poirier is also better than Holloway, and 7 dwarves. Meaning Islam is better than Mr. Fluke, non-top 20. Who's Mr. Fluke? Max Holloway? Who is Mr. Fluke? Max Holloway and the 7 dwarves. That is pretty funny. Yeah, I think Islam... Oh, you're talking about Volk. You're talking about Volk's resume. Volk, Prime Oliveira, Prime Poirier. I wouldn't say Poirier was in his prime, but he wasn't far off. Listen, I think there's a real argument for Makhachev being top 10 right now and not 9, not 8, like higher than that. Thank you for the $2, K. And he gets better every fight at 36 or 37. True. Like he's getting better, which is scary. Pereira is just built different, dude. He's like his own Yoel Romero. Pereira is going to be one of these guys with similar genetics to Yoel. Different fight style, different sort of athleticism, but just built different. Durable, dangerous, How is he doing this at this age? How is he getting better at this age? Pereira could very well be like Yoel Romero, but with tons of title wins. The Yoel that did it. Does Max tie Volk for the featherweight GOAT status if he beats Topuria? Does Max tie Volk for featherweight GOAT status if he beats Topuria? For featherweight GOAT status, I would say no. But for all-time GOAT status, I would say, yeah, maybe. I just think that you got to take into account the Gagey win. That's one of Max's best wins. That's not at featherweight. So you'd have to basically act as if that doesn't exist at featherweight. I don't think so. Not at featherweight. Funny, people hype up Charles for beating Justin, DP, Chandler, but shit on Khabib for beating the same guys. True. Very true. Yeah. They'll shit on Khabib for beating the same guys. Justin, DP, Chandler, Conor. They're all the same. Yep. Very true. Thank you for the $5. Appreciate that. If Alex wins one more, I might put him in my top 10. Yeah. I think, I also agree. If he beats Ankalaev, he's top 10. And he's... The GOAT list is about to change a lot. The GOAT list is about to change. Because a lot of these new generation guys like Makhachev, or not new generation, but a lot of the guys that started to go into their prime around 2019, 2020 are now like, you know, at their peak, and they're really starting to make a difference with their title wins. So, yeah. You're about to see a lot of people out of that GOAT list. I think Daniel Cormier is about to get passed up. I think DC and Stipe, those are examples of guys that aren't going to be in the top 10 for much longer. Because they weren't top 5. They were outside of the top 5, and now people like Makhachev and Pereira, if he keeps winning, is going to pass them up. So, listen, to answer your question, Juan, I think that it's already a bit of a joke in the upper weight classes just because outside of like 8 people in those divisions, there's really not a lot of good talent. But, yeah. Who wins at 265? Bradley? You mean Bradley Martin? He's not from Nelk, but I see what you mean. Yeah. Bradley Martin or Lucas Glazy? Bradley Martin, definitely. If I bloat Max to 265, it'd be a different fight, but still, probably Bradley Martin. He's sauced up. Probably him. And he's not bloat maxed. He's just like, you know, he's like a bodybuilder. He's lean, but he's not totally unathletic. What do you think about Renato's next fight if he wins? I could see Renato Moicano winning. I'm very worried for my prediction. I don't even know if I'll pick Benoit Saint Denis. I am going to pick him probably, but Renato's been on a crazy momentum streak. His Dober win wasn't that amazing. Like, listen, he outgrappled Dober and easily won, but he didn't look that great on the feet. But in his last fight, I think it was more of a Jalen Turner just basically wilting and quitting and making a low fight IQ mistake. Let's not forget that Turner almost finished him in the first round. But Moicano's got the momentum. He's got aura right now. So I could see him having a great performance in his next outing. He's got the momentum that he needs to have a great performance. But it's also in France. And Benoit Saint Denis is going to be better this time too. And he's going to have the support of the crowd. So I just can't wait for the fight. I don't know who I'm picking yet. Might go with Benoit. And he gets better every fight, true. Lucas, what do you think about Benoit Saint Denis and Moicano? What do I think about Benoit Saint Denis and Moicano? I already answered that, right? Yeah, I think that I think Benoit Saint Denis is going to beat him up on the feet. And I think if he doesn't finish Moicano early, I think Moicano wins. Listen, Benoit has a great gas tank. It's not that he gasses out. It's just that I think that he's going to start to make mistakes and Moicano is going to gain momentum with the experience. Moicano has a lot more experience and also has a good gas tank. And therefore, I think that if Benoit doesn't get Moicano out of there in the first 2, I think Moicano is going to lean on his experience and start to take over. And I think Moicano is one of the few guys that can really match Benoit in the grappling. I think he is going to be competitive with Benoit in the grappling. Very competitive. It might look like the Moises fight, though. But I think that, again, I think Moicano is a much better grappler than Moises. Maybe not much better, but a better grappler and more dangerous. He's got a better submission game. He's got decent wrestling. You're my favorite fruity streamer. Which do you like more, Volk or a hot, steamy girth maxer slipping into? Okay, definitely neither. I don't. Happy belated Pride Month. Okay, thank you for the $5. I appreciate the $5. It's going to be a slightly more difficult version of the Moises fight. I think it would be, if he wins, it would probably look like a more difficult version of the Moises fight where Moicano is more dangerous up against the fence. I think that it's going to be Benoit backing Moicano up against the fence. But I think that Moicano, with his long, rangy 1-2s, is going to be able to make him pay. Do you think Aspinall is overrated as he's only beat fat oafs plus Volkov? I don't, because of the way he's beat them. Aspinall is not just beating them. He's not just beating Volkov and having a fight with them. Like, it's just a total masterclass domination against Volkov, right? He didn't just beat Sergey Pavlovich. He knocked him out in a minute. And yeah, it's a big KO. That doesn't mean that he outstrikes him for 15 minutes so easily, but he didn't need to. He figured him out in a minute because he was slow and oafy. Maybe Pavlovich KOs Aspinall, but we saw the opposite. And I think Aspinall's fast. Too fast for him. Too slick for him. Better timing. He didn't just beat Arlovsky. The first second the fight hit the ground, he submitted him instantly. And that wasn't even prime Aspinall. And we saw what he did to Marcin Tybura. Fat oaf knocks him out in the first minute. You know what I mean? Like, that's what you should do to a fat oaf if you are hyped up to be the best heavyweight on the planet. You have to have that performance against him. If you're a grappler, you got to finish him in the first round, you know? That's what you should be doing. So I don't think he's overrated. Ankalaev needed 2 fights to KO Walker, and he thinks he can strike with Pereira. Thank you for the $5. I appreciate that. Ankalaev needed 2 fights to KO Walker, and he thinks he can strike with Pereira. I agree. I think that he's going to get outstruck. Listen, Ankalaev's a patient striker. He's still not low output. He's not that boring, but he's patient. He doesn't overextend. He waited for his opportunity. Just because he needed 2 fights, I mean, he could have just KO'd Walker in the second round in the first fight. The reason why there was even a second fight is because he threw a stupid illegal knee. But he was winning the fight. He probably would have finished Walker in the first fight too. It's not like, oh, they fought once, a hard 5 rounds competitive, and they needed a rematch. There was an illegal knee, no contest, and then they made a second fight to see what would really happen. And we saw what would really happen. Aspinall beats anyone on the planet? Maybe. Aspinall might actually be one of the true good heavyweights that's not just good for a heavyweight, but like actually good. He might be the first ever actually good heavyweight. Other than maybe... You know what? DC was a really skilled fighter. I think DC was more skilled than Stipe, but Stipe relied on his toughness a lot. Stipe was still good, crafty, high fight IQ, tough, got wins. It's not always about just technique and all that. Like, Stipe was a great fighter. But if you think about it, there haven't been many heavyweights that are truly that well-rounded with KO power, that are fast, that can submit people. Like, Aspinall might actually be an amazing fighter in general, not just heavyweight. Kane was good. I don't think he was as good as Aspinall, though. Lucas, thoughts on my GOAT list? Number 1, Jones. 2, GSP. 3, Volk. 4, Islam. 5, Aldo. That's a good GOAT list. Khabib 7, DC 8, Mighty Mouse 9, Silva 10. I actually think it's a good GOAT list. Usman 10, Silva 9. Okay. So Mighty Mouse at 8, Khabib 7. I think I might have Mighty Mouse a little higher than Khabib, but you know what? Maybe not. I actually think that's a great GOAT list. I think it's a great GOAT list. It's a lot better than the average GOAT list. The average GOAT list, this is the average GOAT list. Number 1, I got Jones. 2, I got to go with GSP. 3, I got to go with Mighty Mouse. Not saying those are bad picks, by the way. I'm just saying, like, this is how the average GOAT list would go. 4, I got to go with Silva. Silva at the 4 spot. I got DC at 5. I've got Daniel Cormier at 5. I've got Khabib at number 6. I've got, I don't know who else you would have. Got Fedor at number 7. No. It would be 1 Jones, 2 GSP, 3 Mighty Mouse, 4 Anderson Silva, 5 Aldo, okay, 6 DC, 7 you'd have someone like freaking Fedor, okay, and then Volk would be at like the 9 spot, or maybe Volk would be at the 8 spot. I just think Fedor, pioneered the sport. I got to put him ahead of Volk. Volkanovski, his resume is great. Has nothing to do with Pioneer. I got to put him below Fedor. Like, they kind of mix and match everything. Conor at the number 14 spot. They'll have, like, Garbrandt at the number 10 spot. I got to go with Garbrandt. Just on another level, man. He just was on a totally other level back in the day. Fedor Emelianenko. Got Uriah Faber at the number 18 spot, man. You got to go with the California Kid. You just imagine a panel of 4 guys at MMA Junkie. This might be a bit of a unpopular take, but I got to go with the California Kid. I got to go with the California Kid at the number 18 spot. And they'll all be like, dude, that's not a casual take, man. That's actually, that's a good take. People forget, man. They'll have Uriah Faber at the number 18 spot because people just forget that he was good. And they want to hype him up just because let's not forget that old guy in the past. Let's not forget him. He was a good fighter. Let's just throw him at the top 18 spot. Thank you for the $2. Who wins Ngannou versus Pereira in kickboxing? Probably Alex Pereira in a kickboxing match. I'd go with Pereira. I hope what Abdul Hassan said, but maybe Ngannou just blitzes forward and KOs him with an oaf shot. Thank you for the $20, Hardy. I hope what Abdul Hassan said about DDP finally made sense to people. It's like black people are the only ones who know what DDP was doing and how disrespectful he was, like he didn't know the history of Africa. I just saw a clip of what he was saying, and I thought he said something dumb, but maybe I took it out of context. But yeah, I understand Dricus du Plessis said, I'll be the real African champion. I think he intended to ruffle feathers. But I also don't think it's that bad. You know what I mean? I think he was trying to stir the pot. For sure. But I also think Abdul Hassan said that you don't know the struggle of living in Africa. And I know that in Africa, people struggle. I get it. In a lot of places in Africa. But he said that as if you didn't struggle in Africa growing up in the desert, then you're not a real African. He said it in that way, which I just think is kind of funny because Africa is a continent. DDP's from Africa. What other continent is he from? But I understand it. Saying real African, I get it. Izzy, Usman are going to look at DDP and be like, bro. It's like Africa's a continent, by the way. But you get my point. Like, it's like Michael Bisping moving to China and saying he's the real Chinese champion if Li Jingliang was a champ and Li Jingliang's born in China and Li Jingliang's like, bro, this guy ain't Chinese. I get it. Some people have a double standard with that. You know what I mean? And I understand it. I think Dricus is obviously African. It's a continent. He's African. Africa's not a country. But you get my point. I understand why it ruffles feathers, and I think he did it on purpose to ruffle feathers a little bit. But, yeah. Cinnamon Lucas, I don't like how you omit women from the GOAT list. These women have fought against the patriarchal society we live in. The patriarchal society that allowed them into the sport. Yep, of course, yeah, they fought against it, but they're in the sport. So, how are they the victim there? I know you're trolling, though. Nunes is better than Volk, true. I actually will do a WMMA GOAT list someday. Cortez missed weight, not surprising. Lucas, how to recover from lifts better, no roids, sleep, no processed food, eat protein. That's how. Sleep, no processed food, eat protein, and don't overtrain. If you're an MMA fighter, listen, I'm not someone that programs MMA routines, like martial arts routines, but If you're just talking about lifting weights and how to recover from that, don't overtrain. Don't train 6-7 days a week. That's too much. 5 days a week, max. If you're going really hard in the gym, 4 days a week. Abdul Hassan was born in Michigan, by the way. Was he actually? That's kind of crazy. But yeah, I mean, listen, if he's born to African parents that were born in Africa, he's obviously African. DDP is not ethnically from Africa, at least recently. I know all of our ancestors were originally from there, but you get my point. But DDP is African in the sense that he was born there. You know what I mean? He's not ethnically Nigerian like Usman and Izzy, obviously. But he's African. He's from there. He's not claiming to be like, you know, ethnically South African. He's not claiming that. But he obviously tried to ruffle feathers. I mean, people act like DDP didn't know what he was doing. He knew what he was doing. He was ruffling feathers. But that's how you stir the pot. He's talking some shit. He's trying to pick a fight with Adesanya. That's the fight game. It's not a bad thing that he was doing that. But I understand why it annoyed Adesanya. I get it. And I think Adesanya is also just playing into it a little bit extra because he's also trying to hype himself up for the fight. Adesanya is trying to get into that mindset that he was in when he fought Pereira. He's trying to dislike DDP more than he would if he wasn't fighting him. Yeah, I know DDP's from Africa. I get it. But he's not ethnically African like Li Jingliang is ethnically like a Southeast Asian. You get my point. That's pretty obvious. There's no debate about that. But who really cares about this convo? Like, it's pretty... there's no controversy at this point. I mean, there is a little bit, to be honest. Abdul Razak Al-San was ranting at DDP. Thank you for the 1 month membership, or I'm sorry. Thoughts on people having Nunes on their GOAT list. Thank you for the $2, Jared Thompson. Thoughts on people having Nunes on their GOAT list. I think it's silly to mix WMMA fighters with regular MMA fighters. Like, it's like putting Caitlin Clark on a GOAT list next to LeBron James. Not placement-wise. I just think they don't compete with each other, so they can't be in the same convo. And you could say, well, what about weight classes? Well, yeah, I mean, listen, MMA and WMMA are a little bit different. Let's have them on their separate GOAT lists. How do you see Prime GSP versus the top 15 welterweights and middleweights? I'll actually check it out. That's an interesting convo. Let's look at the rankings. Thank you for the $2, Honeycomb. Ankalaev beats everyone on the planet. Thank you for the $2, John. I disagree. Oh, Aspinall beats everyone on the planet. Possibly. Thank you for the $5, Phoenix. GOAT list, number 1, Silva, 2, Fedor, 3, DJ, 4, Khabib, 5, GSP, 6, Izzy, 7, Amanda Nunes, 8, Aldo, Pantoja at 9, Zhang Weili. That's a hardcore list. That's an MMA junkie list. That's an MMA junkie hype up Bellator and PFL and say, what, just because they're not in the UFC doesn't mean they're amazing fighters? That's that type of list. Thank you for the $2, Flipper Boys. They need to cut Gane. He genuinely doesn't like MMA. I think Gane likes MMA, but not enough to dedicate his whole life to it. And that's all right. He's really good at it, and he's in the shittiest division. He knows he could just beat up on blobs, and he knows that even the toughest matchups like Volkov are winnable fights. There's only like 3 people in that division that like for sure beat Gane. You know what? I ain't going to hate on it. Gane is in an easy division where he has a ton of easy winnable fights. He's an ambassador of MMA. He can get all these movies in France. I don't think, listen, I think it's very clear that Gane's goal is not to be the best fighter he's capable of being. Like he wants to be good. He's training, obviously, but he's not dedicating himself like Volk dedicates himself. Leon, Islam dedicates himself. He's not training like a champion. That's all right. Not every fighter has to do that. And I think Gane is lucky that he's in an easy division. But I don't think he should get cut. I just don't think he should get a number one contenders fight. But you know what? He did beat Volkov, and Volkov should be happy that Gane's given him a chance to get that one back. Thoughts on Pereira getting called out by the real Pereira? I just wanted to see Gane versus a grappler. Thoughts on Pereira getting called out by the real Pereira? You mean Vakitov? I mean, Vakitov is not as good as Pereira was in kickboxing. And Vakitov didn't even beat Pereira in the last fight. They're 1-1, basically. Listen, I want to see Vakitov cross over to MMA. He's only 33. Get him a couple of fights. Maybe he can work his way up. But he's kind of small for light heavyweight. He's kind of built like... he's not even dense like Azamat Murzakanov, but he's undersized for light heavyweight. I think he'd be more suited for middleweight. Yeah. So he should come to MMA, but I don't know if he'll ever fight Pereira. By the time he has a couple of wins, if it's at middleweight, Pereira's long gone. If it's at light heavyweight, Pereira's probably moving up. But anyway, to answer your question, GSP versus the top 15 at middleweight and welterweight. Beats Kevin Holland, beats Page, beats Luque, beats Magny, beats Buckley, beats Jeff Neal, beats Stephen Thompson, beats Sean Brady, beats Ian Gary maybe. Maybe he could beat Ian Gary. Gilbert Burns is tough. Who you guys have, Gilbert Burns or GSP? Let's not forget that GSP struggled against Hendricks. I know Hendricks was on the sauce, though. And, yeah. Did you see Usman blatantly lying about Pereira? I saw Usman's post on Instagram. He was just saying that he doesn't have Pereira at the number one spot pound for pound, no? He said he thinks Pereira is close, but he just doesn't have him number one pound for pound because he's not well-rounded. And I understand that it's not just about skill set, like how many techniques do you have, but I also don't have Pereira at number one pound for pound. I think he's number two. I have Makhachev at number one. I wonder who Usman has at number one. If he has Jones at number one, then that's not a good take, but yeah. Yeah, I think GSP maybe beats him. I think GSP could potentially beat Gilbert Burns. Jack Della Maddalena versus GSP. That's a tough matchup for GSP. I don't know if he finishes JDM on the ground. But GSP could take him down and frustrate him. I think GSP is a better MMA grappler than Gilbert Burns. I think GSP could win. Is it my cheat day, McDonald's or Wendy's? Neither, bro. Those are the worst options. I mean, to be honest, McDonald's is not a bad option. I would go with McDonald's over Wendy's any day. But I don't know. I feel like you could do better than that. I don't know what else you'd want. Like, I don't know what kind of foods you're into. For me, I like ice cream. I like cookies, stuff like that. But I like pasta. I like a heavy pasta with cheese, like a cheesy sauce pasta. But I like McDonald's more than Wendy's. I think I've had Wendy's once. But I prefer McDonald's. Wingstop is, I mean, if you want wings, I wouldn't go for wings necessarily. I like wings, but that's not my go-to. My go-to are burgers. I like burgers. And McDonald's does have good burgers. I like burgers. Burgers and fries. Just made myself some eggs off the cookbook. Hey, man, enjoy the eggs off the cookbook. If you guys want the cookbook, lucastfitness.com. Code MMA for 15% off. Learn how to make some eggs and toast. Five Guys has great hamburgers. I tried, what's it called? I tried In-N-Out for the first time ever about a couple months ago. It was incredible. I really like In-N-Out. I like those burgers. I'm a big hamburger guy. That's my go-to when I'm having a cheat meal out. It's hamburgers, fries. You can't go wrong with that. The issue with other foods is if you go for pizza, pizza's hit or miss. If you order a pizza, it's actually 70% of the time shit because it'll be soggy. You got to go in and get one. You got to go into a pizzeria and get like crispy pizza, you know? But sometimes you don't want to go and you just want to take out, right? So I think that pizza's too hit or miss. Burgers are always good. Burgers, you can wait an hour and they'll be good an hour later. Not going to get soggy. Yeah. Pizza's usually disappointing. Domino's sucks, bro. I used to love Domino's, but I think they changed the way that they made their food. It used to be better back in the day. I prefer Papa John's. Out of all the good fast food pizza places, I think Papa John's clears. I think Papa John's is the best, especially with the garlic sauce. Not the garlic sauce. What do they have? They have the jalapeno pepper and the garlic sauce. I love Papa John's. That's one of those pizzas you can always rely on being good, being the same. I've never tried Whataburger. Be a Guerrero and leave the stream up. I will. Okay, new idea. Five Guys Smash Burger and Raisin Cane's. Raisin Cane's is pretty good. I've tried it. Raisin Cane's is very good. But I think that I'm going to go with Smash Burger's good. I think Five Guys has the better burger. Yeah, Papa John's is the best pizza from any fast food place, to be honest. Cane's is shit without their sauce. Okay. Yeah, I mean, the sauce is the best part. The dip and sauce. Carnivore diet opinion, are vegetables toxic? Most are. Most vegetables these days are not beneficial in any way. Most vegetables these days, the soil is worse. Vegetables are not loaded with good nutrients. They're not loaded with tons of vitamins and minerals. If you get good organic carrots, that can be good for you. But there's not many vegetables that are that good. But I also don't recommend carnivore. I don't think that people were carnivores. I think that carbohydrates are fine as long as you're getting them from good sources without pesticides. Fruit, nothing wrong with fruit. Honey, nothing wrong with honey. People ate that throughout history. I know the fruit these days, because of the soil, they're not as great, but they're still great. There's no reason to not eat carbs. But yes, the majority of your diet should be animal foods like dairy, eggs, liver, organs, meat, fats, stuff like that. But there's no reason to shy away from fruit. There's no reason to shy away from honey. Yeah, you can't convince me fruit is bad for you. Yeah, it's not. I've tried carnivore. I wasn't doing it for the purpose of being carnivore. I was just doing it to go no carb. To be honest, I was eating things like nuts. I was eating cashews and stuff, almonds. I hate almonds. I hate that stuff. But I was just eating it because I wanted more fats, and I tried going no carbs. I felt like shit. And I would lose weight for a week and a half, and then I would plateau, and my metabolism would totally crash. And as soon as I would introduce carbs, I would actually lose weight again, but I would look fuller because the carbs, the glycogen fills you up. Rice and potatoes. I mean, I think if you're eating good quality rice and potatoes and you clean the rice and it's organic, the potatoes are organic, I don't see an issue with them. But I don't think it's ideal. I think the ideal is just meat, fruit, dairy, eggs. I think that's the ideal. And I've been on that diet for the last 4 days, and I already feel a massive difference. I'm not bloated when I eat things like bread, and I mean, I guess I am a little bit. Being on the diet where I cut out rice, potatoes, and bread has allowed me to realize that I actually was bloated without even knowing it by eating that stuff. Eating grains. Listen, I think you can eat bread. I think you can eat rice. I think you can eat potatoes. But I'm just saying, I don't think it's ideal. I'm trying to go on the ideal diet. Which champ got the best chance to be double champ? Right now, Pereira's double champ. Not really, because he's not holding 2 belts. But hey, he's won a belt in 2 different weight classes. I would say Makhachev. I'd say Islam Makhachev has the best chance. Maybe O'Malley. I'd say Makhachev and O'Malley. Lucas, the more you trash Gagey for his skill set, the worse you picking him to beat Max looks. Listen, I'm not trash talking Gagey, but I am saying that his skill set doesn't compare to Ilia Toporia's, and that Ilia Topuria is a much better fighter than Justin Gagey. I recognize Gagey as a good striker. He outstruck Rafael Fiziev. He knocked out Dustin Poirier. He's a good striker. When you compare him to people that are better, like Holloway, like we saw, listen, I was confronted with the evidence. We saw Holloway look a lot cleaner, more technical than him, and Gagey kind of looked like a simpleton in that fight. And I think that Ilia Topuria has a great striking skill set, and I think he also is better than Gagey. I think that there are many fighters that are much more skilled than Justin Gagey on the feet. That doesn't mean Gagey's not a good striker. He is. If he outstrikes Fiziev, like, that's amazing. But there are levels to this game. And I found that out. When do you think Charles is going to come back? Hopefully on the Abu Dhabi card. Listen, I wouldn't mind seeing an Oliveira. Actually, fuck that. I actually would mind seeing an Oliveira Makhachev title fight because I know Oliveira's going to lose. So I'm no longer interested in that. After he lost to Arman, hopefully Arman fights Islam in Abu Dhabi. I really want to see that fight. But who would Oliveira fight? Oliveira could come back on the Abu Dhabi card as like a co-main event, or he could come back in November on Madison Square Garden. Who would he fight, though? I don't know who he fights. Maybe Volk? I don't know. Ilya will go 20-0, then retire. What is he right now? I'm guessing 15-0? He is 15-0. Yeah, I could see him going 20-0. I could see it. Lucas, have you ever had depression? Yeah, I've felt depressed before. I've had my moments in time when I was depressed. The way I recommend dealing with it, again, I think that everyone is going to deal with it differently, but you got to be sober, I think. I think if you're drinking and you're smoking, that's going to hold you back. You got to be sober. Never been depressed when I was sober, ever. I mean, obviously I've had shitty days, but I've never been depressed when I was sober. I don't think having a shitty day is necessarily depression. Seasonal depression, I still get that. Like in the fall, I feel more, I have like a lower baseline mood when there's not as much sunlight, but that is not serious. That's just like, you just feel like shit when it's dark outside just because it looks like shit and you're less likely to go outside. But yeah. Yeah, I think just smiling and waving and just showing up, honestly. Just showing up, smiling, and waving is good enough. Thoughts on fasting for a day during a cut? Thank you for the $2. And just keeping yourself busy. It's really that simple. I know that it sounds, some people are going to like that. What do you mean it's simple? Like, if you're getting high or you're drinking every day and you're depressed, like, how about try cutting that out? If you're, on the hub and you're fapping all the time, cut that out. Get outside and do things with your time. Like, boredom is going to lead you to depression. If you're just sitting around doing nothing with yourself, you're going to be miserable. Just on your phone all day, you're going to be miserable. That's why you just got to do things. Work, do something that's fulfilling. Try to find work that you like. Instead of sitting on your phone, read. That's probably a lot better. More mentally stimulating and fulfilling. Get out and exercise. Eat well. Don't drink and smoke. I don't know anyone with a good diet, sleep, and workout schedule who's depressed. Yeah. Literally set a goal like completing a marathon and work towards it every day, and you won't get depressed. Dude, you could do that. You could do that. You could do that as well. Thoughts on being called the Zoomer version of Skip Bayless? Thank you for the $5. Yes, Guru is Shannon Sharp and Bedtime is Molly or whatever broad they have now. I guess I take it as a compliment. Skip Bayless is someone that has charisma and he's really fun to listen to. And yeah, people get angry with his takes. Like, I'm sure Skip Bayless freaking amps it up. But he's charismatic. He's successful when it comes to like talking about his passion, which is sports. I respect it. I take it as a compliment, but obviously people will call me Skip Bayless in the sense that they think that I just rage bait for the sake of rage baiting. But I think that people that watch my channel understand that I actually do believe in my takes. And sometimes I joke around quite a bit. Like, if you watch my channel, you can tell when I'm joking and you can tell when I'm being serious. If I'm actually arguing for something, like I'm arguing, I might be wrong. I might have a stupid take, but I'm not bullshitting with my takes. I don't bullshit with my takes. When I'm joking, you could probably tell. You know what I mean? Like if I say, I don't know, what was like Gane beating Jones, people would say he's just rage bait. I really did think Gane was going to beat Jones. May have been stupid. I was wrong. But I give my arguments. And a lot of the time, I think I have reasonable arguments for my takes. But of course, some of my takes aren't good. And they prove to not be so good. I understand that. But I'm not just putting out BS for the sake of putting out BS. If you think it's BS, then you think it's BS. But I really stand on my takes. And I'll be happy to admit that they were wrong when they are wrong. I'll be happy to admit that they're wrong. Like, I was wrong when Jones beat Gane. I admit it. Lucas saying Molly McCann is the WMMA GOAT is his best take. Yeah, exactly. I think that she is the WMMA GOAT for entertainment. Entertaining fights, that is. Yeah. Like me saying Usyk is top 15 was a shit take. I agree, that was a shit take. But I promise you, I didn't put that on the list for just, let's just fuck with people. I put that on the list and my mindset was, all right, top 15 strikers. Is it really possible that we're going to do a top 15 strikers and not include fighters from one of the most skilled divisions, that is flyweight? And I was like, I kind of want to put a flyweight in there. Which flyweight is super technical and excellent? Usyk, stupid decision because his resume doesn't prove it. He doesn't have a deep enough resume. And outstriking Pantoja, who's a bit sloppy on the feet, is not just going to make you top 15. But my point is, I didn't just put him on the list just to fuck with people. It was a dumb take, but I was serious with it at the time. I wish that I had just put Poirier there. I wish that I had said, oh, Poirier at number 13, and maybe Whitaker would have been 15. I should have had Poirier there. I agree. I think Adesanya is more of a claim than Usyk. But I would have had Poirier on my list. But I think my striking list was good. I think it was a good list. I think you're really a stand-up dude, even though you make offensive jokes. It's for the gaffes. I never notice any malicious intent. Thank you. I appreciate that. I mean, I do clown fighters' skill sets, but for the most part, it's just banter about the skill set. It's, it's a sport. It's a sport, It's a sport. And I'm not delusional. When I say things like, he's not that good, this guy sucks or whatever, I am not under the impression that that guy is not a killer at his gym. Like, I know that guy beats up most pro MMA fighters. You get what I'm saying? It's just I always am doing it in comparison to the best fighters in the world. But I do definitely, I do trash fighters. I do trash fighters a little bit too much sometimes. Is Pereira dominating Ankalaev a hot take? Since Alex has fully gotten into the perfect light heavyweight frame, he has 2 picture-perfect performances, and Ankalaev can't deal with low kicks. I think that, yes, I think I could definitely see Pereira in the first round buckling Ankalaev, dropping him with a left hook, buckling him with kicks, and knocking him out in the second. I could see him dominating Ankalaev. The thing is, I do believe Ankalaev will shoot, and I don't see Alex dominating him, though. I think Ankalaev will take down Pereira in the first round after getting his legs chopped up a little bit. I think Ankalaev will beat him up a tiny bit, and Pereira will not get finished, and I think Pereira will potentially knock Ankalaev out in the second. If Pereira gets overly reserved, if Pereira goes out there in the second round, if he gets taken down in the first and is way too reserved, okay, then that could be where Ankalaev takes over, because maybe Pereira throws less output because then he starts fearing the takedown. But I think Pereira is going to fight without fearing the takedown. I think if Pereira gets taken down and he survives, I think that'll actually give him confidence to go after Ankalaev. And I think that he's getting to the point to where even if Ankalaev's a good striker, Pereira's going to know that he's better, and he's going to trust in his striking, and his takedown defense is okay at times. Let's not forget, because people forget, man, but Ankalaev got a bunch of his takedowns stuffed when he fought Jan Blachowicz. The early ones. He was shooting a couple of takedowns here and there in the first 3 rounds. And Blachowicz was stuffing them, so I could see Pereira stuffing some of them. And I could see him damaging the legs of Ankalaev and catching him with a left hook. But I think it will be somewhat competitive early. But I don't think it's a totally hot take to say Pereira could dominate. Thank you for the $2. Where is Volk if Ilya beats Max and Volk beats Ilya? If Volk beats Ilya and Ilya beat Max, dude, Volk is second all time. But, you know, I want to say this because people think that I want Ilya to win so that Volk's resume looks better. Whoever wins, Volk's resume, actually, no. Ilya winning is actually worse. It still doesn't look terrible for Volk because it just shows that, oh, well, Ilya is built different or whatever. But actually, Holloway beating Ilya would be better for Volk because Volk has 3 wins over Max. If Max continues to prove that he's actually one of the GOATs, no one else beats him, it makes Volkanovski beating him 3 times look even better. Whereas if Ilya beats Max, it's not as hype for Volk's resume because it's just like, oh, it's a pity hype. It's like, oh, well, Volk got finished, but, you know, Ilya is just that good. It just means that Ilya is better than Volk. So I'd rather Max win for Volk's legacy. And I'm more of a fan of Max. I like being right. I like getting my predictions right, but I actually am a bigger fan of Max than I am Ilya, and I want Max to KO Ilya. I want him to destroy Ilya. I'd be happy to be proven wrong again about Holloway. I regret not picking Holloway to beat Gaethje too. I really regret it. Because I've been talking about the divisional skill gaps for quite some time. But even a couple months ago, I was still not sold enough. The current me would never pick Justin Gaethje to beat Max. I know it's easy to say that after the fact, but still, bro. Frickin' hell. What are your thoughts on Chipotle? I like Chipotle. Chipotle, I actually think it's very tasty, but it's obviously not good for you. They're probably cooking in seed oils. Pretty low quality seed oil cooked meat and rice. I don't know if they're cooking the rice in seed oil. They might be. Maybe they're doing it in olive oil. Bedtime said Talbot will be greater than O'Malley. Maybe. We got to see. It's too early to find out with that. It's too early to tell. I don't know. It's too early to tell. Thank you for the $2. He's a long way off from that. And O'Malley also has to lose. If O'Malley keeps winning, then it's like, okay, that just makes it harder for Talbot to ever catch up. Go on a 10-minute Muzz if Ferguson wins. If Ferguson gets a KO, I'll celebrate. I don't know if I'll Muzz because I think it's actually... I might. Because maybe that's more realistic than Volk ever winning again. Do you think Topuria will be the go to the sport considering his young age and skill set? He might if he stays active and he doesn't plan on retiring early. Because the way he's talking right now is that he's going to retire at the age of like 32 or 31. I might save the Muzz for Volk. Jones loses to Stipe and Volk beats Ilya. Is Volk the GOAT? Jones loses to Stipe and Volk beats Ilya. Is Volk the GOAT? Yeah. If Volk, dude, you know what? If Ilya beats Max and Volk beats Ilya in the rematch and schools him, and Volk loses to Stipe, there's an argument. There's actually a real argument for that. Is it a hot take to pick Tony? I just don't see what his path to victory is if you take into account how much he's physically declined. Like, if you're talking about prime Tony Ferguson moving up, obviously I'm picking him to maybe beat a guy like, I already forgot his name, Michael Chiesa. But, yeah. What's your type? 5'2", blonde, fat ass. Me too, bro. I mean, I have a girlfriend, so thank you for the $2. She's my type. Thank you for the $2. They got to be in shape. They got to be fit. But to answer your question, I think that Tony Ferguson's physically declined so much that his grappling skill set doesn't even mean anything. His grappling skill set at this point truly, in my opinion, means nothing because of how weak he is. It's like being a jiu-jitsu nerd at the local dojo and grappling Alex Pereira. That's kind of what I mean. So I think that it is a bit of a hot take to think that he wins. Should Yuri move to middleweight like his coaches want him to? No, Yuri should not move to middleweight. I've said this a million times, but definitely not. Definitely not. I don't want Yuri cutting into a harder weight class, a more talent-stacked weight class, where he relies on his toughness and chin. Yuri's a guy that needs to take punishment. He has the wild style. He could improve his defense, but even if he improves his defense, it's not going to be like, he's not the next Sean Strickland as far as defense goes. So I don't want to see him. I don't want to see Yuri Prohaska move down because his chin would suffer. He might still have a good chin, but it wouldn't be as good. Lucas Chiesa is one of the least skilled 170-pounders, and Tony still should have some 55 skill. He is one of the least skilled 170-pounders, but the style is Chiesa just marches forward, clinches with Tony, and just muscles him to the ground. And Tony's 155-pound skill, he's old, he's worn out. Chiesa's old, Chiesa's worn out, but still, I think Chiesa's just going to manhandle him. Not finish him, not beat him up, but just keep him on the ground. Tony, a couple of years ago when he fought Michael Chandler, when he was still fast, Tony could have hurt Michael Chiesa. He could have dropped him. Tony has like a crazy long reach, and he can catch people at the end of those punches. Then I would say, yeah, I think like Tony could definitely hurt Michael Chiesa, but the way he's been looking recently, he's just so slow, and he's not dynamic. And at 170, he's even slower. Like when he fought Nate Diaz, he looked slower than he did when he fought Bobby Green. So, yeah. Speaking of Bobby Green and Paddy Pimblett, let me put up a poll. Quick poll. I think I'm going to pick Bobby Green, but the reason why it's a weird fight is because Paddy Pimblett is so outmatched on the feet, but Green's chin is terrible. Not that Green gets finished, but he gets hurt and almost dropped in basically every single one of his fights. And Paddy does have power, and he does have grappling. I don't think Paddy's going to be able to out-grapple Bobby Green. I think he's a better grappler. Like, he might be able to out-grapple him, but what I'm saying is I don't think he's going to be able to ragdoll him. I don't think he's going to sub him, which is why I think Bobby Green wins. But it's dangerous because Paddy could drop him and jump on him. It's actually closer than some people think. Oh, King Green. My bad. You guys are saying, who's Bobby Green? I'm like, what? Are you trolling? King Green. Okay. He changed his name. I know. Bobby Green. He was doing the hokey pokey against Miller. He got hurt against Ferguson. Ferguson dropped him. Miller rocked him multiple times. Got knocked out by Dober. Dude, Green doesn't have a good chin. But if Green finds his flow state, he's going to start to dog walk Paddy. Second, third round. He's going to start to beat him up bad on the feet. But Paddy's got a good chin, and I could see Paddy taking him down. And I think Paddy might win a decision. I think he might win a slow, lackluster decision. Grappling. Toughing it out. And the UK judges giving him the control time over the damage. Like, I could see Paddy rocking Green in the first, jumping on him, winning the first. Green beating up Paddy in the second. Okay? Paddy clinches up against the fence. He loses the second. In the third round, Green won the second. Green starts beating up Paddy. Paddy gets a hold of him, takes him down. 3 minutes to go. 3 minutes of control. Beats him up a bit. Paddy wins a decision. I could see him winning. I could actually see him winning. Even though I think Green is going to beat him up on the feet. It's going to be maybe like Moicano and Dober. Where Dober's beating Moicano up, but Moicano gets the takedowns in a timely fashion when they matter, with lots of minutes on the clock. I don't think Paddy KOs him, though. If he does, that would be crazy. That'd be so hype. Not because I don't like Green, but just because it's in the UK and the crowd would go crazy. Paddy gassed in the third against Tony. There you go. Well, then I got to watch that third round back then. Maybe I would be more confident in picking Green if I actually think that his gas tank ain't all that. 53% are going with Paddy. Wow. 53% are actually picking Pimblett. That's actually kind of crazy. Not that crazy, to be honest. Paddy is all right. He's not that good on the feet, but his grappling, it's decent. I just expected Green to be the favorite in the poll. Paddy KO 100%. He will spaz out, and Bobby style won't work. Yeah, but the thing is, Pimblett it's a lot easier to spaz out on Tony Ferguson, who's old and washed, than it is to do that to Green. Tony almost finished Paddy with a body shot in the third. I gotta check that out. I'm gonna rewatch that fight today. I'm actually gonna check that out. Opinions on foot fetish? I'm not really into feet. I can appreciate when a girl has nice feet, like nice, clean, petite feet, but I personally am not that into feet to the point to where I'm like trying to get a foot job. Thank you for the $2. The cookbook eggs and toast were great. Love you, Flukas. Thank you for the $2. I appreciate that. Thank you. Chimaev versus Cannonier, UFC Paris. I like it. I like it a lot. I don't think they're going to make that fight, though. I think it's unrealistic. They already have a main event. Hamzat, I don't think he's going to fight that soon. Wishful thinking to think that they're going to have a great second fight added to that card. I don't see it. Definitely not going to happen. The way people talk on Bo reminds me of Sean O'Malley. Bro's facing bums. Bro took 3 rounds to finish Moutinho. Same as Bo with Brundage. Reminds me of Sean. Yeah, Bro's facing bums. Yep, you're right. You are right. Very correct with that. Exactly. It's just that people's expectations are so high. It's like, who's knocked out a bum recently? Talbot, for example. If you were hyped about Talbot's KO, dude, relax. He KO'd a bum. But that was the fight. What are you going to say about it? You know what I mean? It's like he beat Cody Brundage. He dominated. Fair enough. He didn't submit him like Hamzat Chimaev submitted Li Jingliang in the first. He didn't have a performance like that. But that's not always how it's going to go. He dominated 99% of that fight. So, yeah, I agree. If he's having like a razor-close split decision with Cody Brundage, then it's a bad look. But he's not. Yo, where did you get that shirt? I want it. The shirt, or you're talking about the Shamil Blobgaziev shirt? I got the Shamil Blobgaziev shirt from the Blobco, the Blob Company. They sent me one of these, but I think Shamil should, really put more ones out. Honestly. Did you see Hamzat KOing a YouTuber who challenged him yesterday? I did see that. I think it's probably old though. Listen, I think Hamzat should fight. I want to see him fight. He got sick before his last fight because maybe the weight cut ruined his immune system. But if he's healthy now, he should be getting ready to fight as soon as possible to see if anything can change. I hope things change. It'd be a shame not to see Hamzat fight anytime soon. But I don't know if that video is recent. Either way, if Hamzat's healthy, he should be aiming to fight as soon as possible. I just don't think we're going to see him fight Cannonier in Paris. That would be too good to be true. Do you think Sheppy Mariscal is underrated? He is, because not many people know about him. And most people look at Sheppy and they would just say, oh, this random bum from the Apex. But he's very good for an unranked guy. Dangerous, solid, high output. I don't know if he'll be ranked, but he's a solid fighter to watch. Ian said paying for info on camps is cheating. It's hypocritical. He travels camp to camp gaining info. He said Leon was scared. I thought it's cheating. Yeah, but he was doing it in a different way. But I see what you mean by it being hypocritical. Listen, I just think it's a little bit different to pay someone to spy on someone in a training camp. But that's like old school tactics. I don't think it's taking PEDs. I don't think it's, in baseball where the Astros are cheating because they know exactly what's going to come next, what pitch is going to come and all that. They're tipping pitches. It's different. You're just learning information about someone. It's definitely a dirty tactic, but that shit's been going on. And how are you going to ban it? You're going to ban people from gyms talking to other fighters and other training camps? You're going to ban that? Just there's no way to shut it down. It's actually a crafty move from MVP, but it's good for Gary to try to trash talk him for doing it as well. But it's actually a crafty vet move. Tracy Cortez Tracy Cortez missing weight. That's actually a crafty move. Because the thing is, Tracy Cortez, it doesn't even matter if she gets up in the rankings or gets a title fight. All she needs to do is win. She doesn't even need to win. She could lose, and she'll still be as popular. The Blobco. MVP versus Lou. Oh, yeah, that guy, Lou. Sasso. That guy, yeah, man. I got to go with Lou. She cut her hair to make weight. No way. Did she go bald? That's actually pretty crazy. Oh, you're right. Yeah, she's holding her hair, but she didn't go bald. She's crying. Couldn't do it, though. Hamzat's the most entertaining style in MMA, in my opinion. The hitman that runs across the octagon knowing his opponent has nothing for him. I know. It's such a shame that he's not fighting and his immune system just can't hold up. It's such a shame. He is truly one of the best fighters in the sport, one of the best grapplers in the sport. It really does suck. She's mad she can't eat hot Cheetos. Anyway, guys, I just realized we've been live for 3 hours and 18 minutes. I'm going to leave this up. If you're a member, I did a video reacting to animals and how the dangerous animals are overrated. You can check that out. Lil Gloom, I appreciate that. Thank you for the $2. Camaro Hairline, keep up the stream. I will. Hope you guys enjoyed. Until next time.